All right, hello everyone. My name's Speedy. Welcome to NotSoSpeedRuns, and welcome back to 6 and 20 in Blades in the Dark. This is episode 5, and we are back into the thick of things. We were off for a week, but we have returned. Louise has returned, and everything is totally fine, and nothing happened in the other show that is going to affect anything here
Not
at
even
all.
remotely.
Let's really quickly go around to all of our casts. You guys can say who you are and everything, and then we'll hop right into to where we left off and where we have to go from here. So let's start with Trendane as usual.
I'm Trendane.
Cool. MadameGandalf.
My name is MadameGandalf. I have the bladder of a toddler, and I play Ari the Slide. I couldn't go with it anymore.
Who are you? Who are you?
I don't even know.
Ari,
That's-
the slide.
Sure, good enough. All right, Grin.
Hi, I'm Joff. I have the bladder of a different toddler. My favorite color is purple. And you can find me on Twitter where I talk about tea, toast, and depression.
And
Awesome.
sometimes
And
role-playing games.
Sometimes role-playing games.
Sometimes.
Excellent. And Louise.
I'm Louise. You can find me also on the tweeters. I have the bladder of a grown adult, and I'm playing Sling, who is a hound, and she's great and not going to die today. Right, Johnny, right.
This is like
I don't know what
Bladders
you're talking
Anonymous
about.
right here. Like, yes, hello, my name is Speedy. I have the bladder of a completely normal person. And what is wrong with all of you?
Okay, wait, hold on. Not all of you. You and I have our names as our thing. It's everybody else's names. You and I are fine.
Well,
You're
honestly,
right.
Louise should be mother of goats, but let's be honest.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, now I'm changing it then. That's true. That is very true. I have to
Lisa.
commit.
Misa.
Like, Kid Lisi.
Well played.
All right, and I'm Speedy, NotSoSpeedRuns. This is my channel, and I am playing as Sky, the spider, the mastermind of this smuggling organization. And with that, I will turn things over to Johnny. Actually, real quick, before I do that, I want to talk about donations and how they're going to work. Because there is actually a change. Before we were talking about this. It's something that I meant to implement like a while back. Usually with D&D games, we have it's $5 to give a critical success to any player, critical success or failure on any roll. This is different. Blades in the Dark is a much more roll light game, and so in order to combat that, to adjust for it, there are slightly different donations rules. Exclamation mark Blades in chat will bring up the link to the full list of them. But in the interest of not completely breaking the game by making us succeed on everything, because you guys are just too damn generous, there are some slightly different donation rewards there, and you can see the list of them. Also, don't forget, we do have merch.
Oh my god, merch!
Blades in the Dark
like
6
this?
and 20.
Is it
Like that, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome that you can
Thank
get
you,
shirts,
thank
you can
you.
get a notebook, you can get stickers, whatever you may want. From the Unmade Gaming TeePublic store, I will put the link in chat right now. You can have a wonderful shirt just like Louise, our fantastic 6 and 20 model.
That's my job. I'll see you later. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
The face of 6 and 20, Louise.
with all of the many black veins running up it.
It's beautiful, you know. Next top model, me.
Yes. And so now for real, I'll actually turn things over to Johnny, VideoStoreCowboy, and you can tell us what we're doing here.
Yeah. So last week, a bunch of really interesting things happened. You found yourself being visited by a couple of bluecoats who you kind of passed off and kind of just kind of deferred your engagement with them to kind of get a feeling for what was going on, which eventually led into the captain of the Blue Coats in Six Towers, the district of Six Towers, brokering a meeting with you to have you investigate the circumstances around a break-in that happened at their HQ some weeks ago. That was a successful conversation, although there was a little bit of uncomfortability going on. And all the while, Sling had vanished after that lovely little exchange a couple of weeks ago between Sling and Sky there. Subsequently, in an effort to figure out more information or do an investigation related to the score that the Blue Coats were providing you, Ari decided to visit an old work hangout, a brothel that she used to be a part of, that is owned by OC, or Orange Crush, from the Shroud. Subsequently empowering quite a wonderful young man that was surprisingly well played by, or unsurprisingly well played by, Trendane. It was an amazing exchange. If you guys didn't see it, go back and watch it. Who has subsequently been renamed Cray, or was it Clav? No, it's Clav.
Clav.
Yeah, Clav. We had previously called him Aldo, but there was already an Aldo on the other show. So from there, Ari got some interesting information, little bits of information about your target, Nicholas Penderin, and that's where we had to end it. So we're going to start basically right there, but there's a couple of things that we need to do. We're going to talk about mechanically speaking. First things first, I want Speedy, can you talk a little bit about what the upgrades that you guys chose related to what we started tracking? We finally started tracking crew XP and allotments and that kind of a thing. So
right. So in terms of crew advancement, because we weren't tracking before, we went back and added it. So we wanted to give our crew a few more advantages. One of the first things we wanted to do was add a cohort, which we made some rooks. Basically, we decided that there are vice dens in Duskfall. We didn't decide that. That's just true. And we, as smugglers, supply to these vice dens. We give them lure, alcohol, whatever it may be, illicit substances. And as a result, we have some pretty good connections with them, and they're willing to help us out in exchange. Give us information on various people who patronize them, or to perhaps influence those people in some way. Tell them that their supplier might not approve of some sort of action that they're doing, and we can influence them in that way. So that is one of the crew upgrades we took. Didn't actually come to a final conclusion on the other ones, but I thought we could talk about that a little bit on stream. I think one thing that I was thinking about was adding a second square in secure, basically so that our lair is protected from arcane intrusion. The part of also why I want that is because going off of a conversation that Trendane and I had, or Hocus and Sky had a couple episodes back, we don't want anyone finding out about my dead sister's ghost in the basement. And so I think that would be a good idea to hide, probably. I don't know.
Now, my next question would be, does securing it make her invisible, or just does it make it difficult for people to get in or out?
I think that it could be both. I would say there's some GM discretion there, but I think that the arcane security could mask ghostly presence as well.
So it's vague enough in the books right now that the indication is level 1 is physical, level 2 is spiritual or spectral or that kind of a thing. So yeah, there's I mean the field is open right now as to what happens. I think we'll cross that bridge when we need to make a decision about it. You know, we'll make a decision when we cross that bridge, that kind of a thing. But yeah, for generally, in my head, it means protection inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you know, visibility in, and then protection, you know, from attacks externally. So
also possibly protection within to keep my sister from leaving. That hasn't been a problem so far, but if something were to go wrong, overindulging a vice or not indulging often enough, that could possibly have some consequences, and I'd like her to not be able to leave and wreak havoc and run away or something.
Hey man, it's on you to keep up with your vice.
Yeah, you know. And we have one more box. There are a few options for that. We could get faster, larger goats and an armored vehicle. I know that's probably what Louise wants, is bigger goats.
Probably.
That is entirely what Louise wants.
Larger goats and armored vehicle. That's kind of a bad.
Wait,
Or larger
armored
vehicles,
goats.
Armored goats.
Armored
yes.
Armored goats.
Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
It's completely possible. We could also another thing I was considering was adding quality to supplies, which would be useful for like subterfuge supplies, or like false documents, anything like that we're using to trick people. Anyone who wears disguises or something like that can be useful. Also, I think it also applies to like supplies used to break into things. So stuff like that could be useful. Or we could put another point in training for something else. Something. I'm open to ideas.
Armored goats.
Armored goats.
I mean, admittedly, I am also leaning between armored goats and putting in something for training towards something. Those
I'm
are the
kind
two.
of I'm thinking training and or armored goats.
You're the one who started it.
You know, if you don't go with the armored goats, Johnny is going to get us into a situation where
We need armored goats.
they are going to kill and devour the spiritual essence of the armored goats, or the unarmored goats, which would have been fine had they been armored. Sling is
I have
going
nothing to
lose
do
her
with this.
fucking mind. She is
All right.
going to go absolutely crazy and just go fully automatic with her gun. And it'll be like Rambo. Just,
Literally. You'll get your wish for the
If only
city
they
being
had worn
destroyed.
armor.
All right, sounds like goats are what we're going with here.
Yes.
We've got the goats are strong. What do you guys? We've had these goats for a while now, but we're now upgrading.
Can we
them.
name them?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Should we name these goats?
I
Just
think
real
we should.
quick
We
before
have
we
to
get
have
into the
one
serious,
reveal,
like
right?
there's a lot of
Before we get
espionage going
serious.
on.
this
and
is
Let's-
serious, mister.
this is very important. What
This
goat
is a very
name?
serious
Let's
decision.
burn the first hour on naming goats.
Okay,
I
so
think
the
chat
first,
should decide
I
at
think-
least one.
Is it?
Oh, yeah,
How
the
many
chat-
goats
yeah,
is
chat
required to
should
pull a
have
carriage?
this.
Is it 1 or 2? Could we have 2 goats?
So there's one, basically, as far as I've seen, it's one goat because they're so large. They're like 10 feet tall, and they're a couple of tons of like muscle and that kind of a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so
well, I have
hear
to
me
put
out.
in a thing for Billy because it just
Aldo.
makes sense.
Nice.
Aldo.
Alto.
Wait, Nyx? Can we go with Nyx actually?
Oh my
Too
goodness.
many mixes.
What about Moon?
Oh.
I feel like that's just bad luck.
PG tips.
I wonder why.
PG tips.
The goat.
Does chat have any suggestions? Satan is a suggestion from chat.
I think those last two-
Mr. Tumnus.
Oh.
Goaty McGoatface, also solid
Goaty
suggestion.
also solid. Also a solid.
All right.
This is my favorite episode.
Um,
Oh,
25
poor
minutes
Johnny.
in, we're
Look at
naming a
Johnny.
I think. How do you guys feel about putting this up to a poll?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Well,
poll.
There's a straw poll that.
Yeah, if one of my mods could, if Ishman, if you could just create a straw poll, with the suggestions that are in chat right there,
and
we'll
some of
vote
the
on
ones
that,
that
and we'll
are
have an
that
answer
people
by
have
the
said
end of this
on here.
stream.
So Billy and whatever the ones else who said on here.
Billy, Mr. Tumnus.
Mr.
Mr.
Tumnus.
Tumnus, PG Tips, Goaty McGoatface, Moon, Aldo.
How do you spell Tumnus?
Khaleesi, just put that out there.
TUMNUS.
Misa.
Yeah.
Misa. Misa's also a name suggestion.
So I get the feeling that if we go with either Nyx or Moon, by the time these two crews come together, this goat will be dead, and we will be spinning it on the spit and they're gonna come over and like, who is that? It's like, oh, his name is Nix.
Don't you dare hurt
And
my goat.
that's where the fight's really gonna start.
There you go.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay.
All right,
That's when
well,
Sling
I'm
joins
glad
the other
that
side,
this has
right?
happened. Honestly, my character could die now, and I'd be
Jar
only
Jar-
partly sad. This is a very good day for me.
Okay, cool.
Yeek.
So we've got that figured out, more or less.
Damn
Stay
it, Joff,
tuned.
stop it.
Stay tuned until the end of the stream when we will have an answer
God, I'm
for
so
what our
excited.
goat is named.
I'm so excited.
Actually, maybe we should just leave it in suspense. Leave up a poll for a week.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no! Until next session.
I would not sleep for an entire week.
We come back and Louise is just there like,
I'm still sat here. I'm just like,
what did we?
what's it called?
Christ. Anyways,
Anyway, serious campaign time. Let's go.
All right, so the reason I had you talk about the upgrades is you decided to take the Rook network, or the Rooks, as your cohorts. Can you talk to me a little bit more specifically about the Rooks? What are they made up of? I mean, the example that that Mike uses over on the Shroud show is that it's a bunch of homeless, basically a homeless network, a la the Sherlock thing that he does. Is that same thing that you do? Is it something a little bit different? Is it like orphans? Is it
right.
essentially town workers who receive pay from you? Who are these Rooks? What is their day job, or what is their daily lot in life?
Yeah, so they are the owners and workers at Vice Dens. So these are people we have a business relationship with. They're not necessarily working directly for us. They're primarily focused on their own business. However, because they want access to the things that we're supplying, and because we could perhaps give them a discount on certain things for information. They are willing to help us out when they can, to gain information from their customers and perhaps influence their customers in the same way.
Okay. So with that in mind, as you begin to broker that relationship, and this kind of happens on top of everything else, because we're in free play right now, as you guys are building towards the elements of the score, or whatever score you choose. The initial effort of the Rook network starts to pay off. One of your guys, as you're making a delivery, comes up to you and starts a little bit of a conversation, talking about just the various goings on. Most of these are things that you've already heard. There's mention of the Bluecoats are looking, to investigate the situation at their HQ. The back and forth of the couriers that Hocus has already brought to your attention. But there's one really interesting one that just kind of, catches your ear, and it seems that the Lost in Char Hollow are a little stirred up. And apparently, and it's not clear because nobody actually witnessed this, but there's a bit of stirrings going on, and it's basically the Lost are being told that there's a merchant in Night Market that might be taking advantage of people, and that there might be a problem, and that the Lost are actually looking into it.
All right. Yeah, that's great.
And that they're spending a lot of time being aggressive about that.
I would, if I could, I'd like to ask them what they know about, or what do they know so far.
On top of that, the only other piece of information that they have is that there's actually another group of interested people, or an interested party, kind of looking into the circumstances of this. But it wasn't really obvious who they were or what they were doing. Just that they had they had been asking questions about the circumstances with which the Lost were exploring this report of a merchant who was causing problems.
Okay. Would I know who they were asking questions to?
Well, actually, if we're going to get to that point, you're definitely going to get to do a roll for that.
Cool.
And we're actually I'm going to have you roll a fortune roll to see how much information they actually provide for you at first. So again, fortune rolls always start out with 1 die.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular circumstance, it's all about sheer luck. But on top of that, let's see what else potentially applies. So there's no faction involved, so that's not going to really change the trait rating in any way or add you an additional die. This is an opposing element, though, of some kind, so you're going to get an additional die for that just because.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can give me a good narrative reason why you would get another die for information gathering, you can have a third one.
Well, does my cohort assist in that at all, or?
So this is more about they are already providing you with information. This isn't a role where you're actually rolling a skill to see, like, you're not engaging a cohort. This is the initial effort that the cohorts are bringing back to you as rooks. So you're already getting bits and pieces of information from them.
Mm-hmm.
This is only to determine how much information they're providing for you.
Okay.
And it's open to the table. If anybody,
how much they know or how much they would be willing to tell me?
How much they know.
Okay. I can't think of another reason why they might know more. I guess, well,
it's not about whether they know more. If it's is there another advantage that we can throw or another significant element that makes sense to give you additional, not luck is the right word, but for lack of a better word, luck in this situation. It increases the percentage that you will be successful or very successful by adding an additional die, right?
Oh, actually, okay,
the numbers start to play in your favor.
Knowing what I know out of character is that they were given this, or they were using information from the Hive, correct? That was part.
Who was using information from the Hive?
The Shroud crew. Nyx?
No, he was not. None of the information that was related to this particular circumstance was related to the Hive.
Oh, okay.
So to go back to that real quick. So when he rolled and he started to investigate, he participated with them, but he was only investigating this piece of information, and he used the cohorts to assist in that investigation, right? So it was only whatever information they could gather on the streets. There was no they engaged merchants, they engaged the homeless, they engaged, the day laborers and the other folks who frequent night market. He did not actually try to engage the Hive for this information. So yeah, it's not something where he engaged another faction. This was totally independent on his own, it was the Shroud's independent effort based on the information that was brought to them.
Okay. I'll go ahead and leave it at 2 dice then. That's fine with me.
Okay, sounds good. So
crit.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
All right. Hi there, Sling. How's it going?
A good session, guys. I will see you next week. But okay, cool. That's fine. This is fine. It's fine.
It's a natural crit.
Yeah,
sorry, I'll show the rolls on screen.
I disagree. I don't know how I disagree, but I disagree. I think you should roll again, personally.
So, I am really perplexed about. I was expecting a success. I was not expecting a crit. So I'm trying to frame this in such a way. So give me a little bit of room to kind of play with this. What they bring you is this basic set of information, and as you begin to ask questions, you get that they know more, but they don't realize that they know more. So one of the obvious things about this this information that this contact gives you is that in all of the investigation that's going on in relation to, or all the inquiries that are going on that are in relation to being, this other group kind of asking about, it's clear that they have a network of rooks of their own, and they're homeless. And the homeless are clearly working for them based on the description, just the way that people look, the way that they act, the circumstances with which they're getting involved in, right? Also, there appeared to be a ringleader running around in quite well finery, and there was a particular focus and emphasis on the neighborhood or the buildings right around Donovan's. And it would appear that person running around in finery, short hair, not a beard, but like a couple days worth of facial growth, long jacket, mostly dressed in black, putting on airs a little bit. In his inquiries, it turns out that a merchant that works next door gave him some information that might have indicated that Donovan's might be involved.
Okay. Shit.
So that wasn't directly me, so.
Well, so again, the fortune roll was not about the information about that Sling had, that the lost information, so much as it was about the people that were inquiring about the information in regards to the lost. So that's where the subtlety is. The last bit of information I will give you, based on the fact that it's a crit. You recognize the description of this particular person and realize that it is a regular patron at the Vale.
All right. Okay. Would the Vale, by chance, be one of the places that I supply vices to?
It could be.
All right.
I mean, they are not only are they a neutral ground, but they are also a purveyor of every potential pleasure that you could ever want.
Okay. Keep that in mind.
Okay. So with that information, do you want to take any type of action of any kind?
At this point, not immediately. I'd like to discuss it with the crew first, for sure.
Okay.
Actually, before we go into this, we were going to retroactively treat the last episode as a score, correct? So should we take care of heat and?
Well, that is the next thing that I was going to do. So okay. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the crew upgrades, give you those bits of information, allow you to experience what it is to use the Rook the first time, and yeah, we'll talk about that next. So jumping into last week's conversation with the Blue Coat captain. Very much post-show discussion, it was definitely a score. It was mostly centered around Grin, Sky, and Ari. So we will treat it as a score that happened, and you had an excellent fortune roll at the beginning, and everything went reasonably well. Although towards the end, it seemed like there was a little bit of a challenge there. But we're going to treat it as a score. So let's go ahead and walk through the mechanics real quickly of going into downtime. It also means that you guys should think really quickly about downtime actions that you want to take, since you're going to have the opportunity to. So first things first, payoff. I don't think it was quite a big job, but I also don't think it was a small job, because you were dealing with a faction that is at least 2 tiers above you.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm going to call it, in my opinion, it's either a small job or a standard score. And I'm willing to hear arguments either or. And the difference is the base coin that you guys get from this being 4 or 6.
As much as I would like to say that it was a standard, I think it was probably a small score. I think we mostly established a future job, and I mean we established a connection with the Bluecoats, but
it was definitely a social engagement.
It's at this point a tenuous relationship for a single job rather than anything particularly permanent. So I'd probably say it's a small.
Okay, Grin, Ari, how do you guys feel?
I feel the same way. I think it wasn't as big, but it certainly wasn't like super small. But I'd be leaning more towards the small.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brynn?
I'm in agreement.
So Hocus, you weren't directly involved in any way, shape, or form, but there was a little bit of planning on the front side of that with you. You agree? Okay.
Well,
then we're going to call it.
It was
Okay.
small. There was a lot of involvement in like when things started to kind of go weird, and it was like, okay, so is there a signal or not a signal? Wait, should I go outside and start a fight or not? And so there was a comedy of errors to it, but I would still say yes, it was small.
Okay. All right. So we'll call that 4 coin. And
our coin stash for the crew is full, so if Ari and Grin, you guys just want to take 2 coin each, I can't fit any more on mine. Congrats.
Yay!
you should also look at other things that you can spend score on, like stash, just for future reference.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about the reputation that you guys got. So it's a minimum of 2. You interacted with a faction that was at least a couple of tiers above you. Let me confirm what the current standing of
Blue coats is.
the blue coats are. So I have to consult the sheet. Give me just 1 second. Blue coats are a tier 3. You are tier 0, so that's an additional 3 rep. So that's 5 as of right now. Yeah, and there doesn't appear to be anything else that could factor into that in retrospect. So 5 rep, 4 coin.
All right.
So that's a pretty good payoff for you guys initially.
That will fill up this rep bar.
Which means that you get a new upgrade.
Cool.
Wait, right? No, I'm sorry. That means that you advance. No, you advance to a tier 1.
Hell yeah!
Hold on. Let me take a look. Let me double check your crew sheet, because this is going to make some people jealous. I'll be honest.
I just filled in the rest of it, but this is
Very
this is what it looks
quickly,
like.
how much coin was that in the end? Sorry.
2 for you.
2 for you.
2 for me. Cool. Yay! 3 coin. I'm rich, motherfuckers.
Speedy, I'm going to give you a page number real quick. I want you to double check what I'm reading right here. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. Well, then to hell
Why
with
would I
you.
have the rules open? I know how this game works. That's definitely why I need to look it up right now.
Oh my god, gosh. Hold on, just 1 second. It's the wrong
While you're
rule.
doing that,
No, I told you no. Go ahead, Trendane. I'm sorry.
since I was just going to tell everybody, since it is my birthday, I got a birthday card from my father, and it says, God knows where he keeps it, but Kenneth always has a pen, which my father's name is Kenneth. And it says, think of only pleasant things on your birthday. And he wrote in the thing, I don't know about the pen. I think it's just a worn down pencil that's not as sharp as it was maybe once upon a time. Lol. I have never seen my father write lol anyway.
Whenever my parents write it, they think it means lots of love.
Aww. Did he say though? My question is: think of pleasant things. Open bracket goats. Close brackets.
There are no brackets. I think he meant for me to think of penises.
Or goats.
That's some real dad love there.
Or
Probably not.
goat penises.
Whoa.
And that is where we're
Whoa.
ending the show.
Thanks for tuning in. We've been cancelled.
Somebody please clip that.
He ends the card with saying, I just don't understand it. I keep getting older and older. I keep hoping the odometer will flip over. I can go back to being 0000, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Love you, my son, Dad. He always calls me my son, because he loves Augie Doggy, the old think it was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Wait, so was it your birthday like today or?
Currently my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
What?
Mhm.
Okay. We had to do obligatory, awkward, happy birthday singing, right?
Mm.
Right?
We're
Are we
gonna
all
let
on
the
board
people
with
who can sing do that. I'm gonna step.
There is a version
No!
that require tremendous singing.
Hmm?
What?
There's a version that is very short, and it doesn't require a whole lot of singing. Partially because
Which one's that?
it's this is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
I like as well that you've now sung your own birthday song.
Happy birthday song.
And that's it. That's the end. Well done.
That was
We're
it.
all-
Yay!
That was it. We do nothing. Congrats.
We reiterate Trendane's birthday song. See, we're going back into D&D mode now.
Yeah.
Like I do the
I
same.
repeat it to you.
I repeat it
Oh.
to you.
It's a flashback.
I flashback. I sing the song.
Wait,
Sling just walks in and like sings the song. and
Johnny,
leaves
what is the
again.
page you wanted me to check?
Check chat. Check Zoom chat while they're doing that.
Okay.
Well, we're pretty much done, so you should be
Oh,
done
yeah,
too.
Damn it! Table flip.
Apparently,
All right,
I
so-
sung it really badly to you because I only rolled a 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could be ways. You could use
Randomness.
You could use my brass D4, which rolls ones unusually often, like that. And
They're painful.
yeah, I'd rather
See,
swallow.
my
kelp
life is just a natural 20 anyway, so I think I win.
Ooh,
except
very
when
good.
morphine,
Except when I burnt my hand because I was in a fire, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
'cause- and you're trying to become a hand model.
Yes, I did the wrong thing when trying to become a hand model and set myself on fire by accident. Pro tip to all you aspiring hand models out there: fire's not good.
Use non-flammable.
Use non-flammable fire for all your fire purposes.
So inflammable. No, that's flammable.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna shut it down because we got to get back to the game here. I'm gonna be the bad guy.
Are you two
There's a
done?
game.
I thought we were just here to talk.
I thought we were here to talk about goats. Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
It's all about goats and Trendane's birthday.
That's what I
Wait.
signed up for.
Do they go together?
No.
Oh, okay, just making sure. All right, guys. So back to the matter at hand. You have just filled your rep bar. I think Sky is going to want to take that 4 coin back, 2 from Grin and 2 from Ari,
Yeah.
because it's going to require 8 coin for you to do an upgrade to tier 1,
Mm-hmm.
plus the 12 rep. But that means if you you filled your 12 rep on your crew sheet, and you pay the 8 coin, so it's 8 times your tier level. Right now, your new tier level would be 1, so it's only going to require 8 coin. That means that what will happen is you will advance to tier 1, which is a whole new world in the faction system. It means it also means that your position or your hold is what they describe it as, but it's basically like a position. Your hold on your tier and everything that is a part of your crew goes to weak, and then the next level will be moving on. But at tier 1, certain things start to happen, right? Certain roles get affected by your tier level, which means that you now increase those rolls by +1 die. Certain negotiations, there's all kinds of little things that get affected by your tier at this point. So am I hearing you correct that you are going to advance from
Yes.
tier 0 to tier 1?
Yes, that is going to happen.
And you thought there was no way to win Blades in the Dark.
Let's make it tier 5, folks. We're going to beat the army.
All right, so go ahead and mark that off on your character sheet or the crew sheet. So congratulations, guys. You were the first crew to advance in 6 and 20.
Ever in any game.
Ever.
I mean, in 6 and 20, yes.
Even John Harper has never. Well,
What are you trying to say?
John Harper's never played 6 and 20. He's only played Blades in the Dark.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So getting
Poser.
back to the matter at hand, you've now become a tier 1 faction. That won't change anything right this second. But I said this privately, I think, to both Speedy and Mike. The game starts to get even more interesting the larger the tiers you go up, because it's not just about the mechanics, but it's also about the awareness and what's going on in the world. So you guys are now players on the larger the stage. But getting back to the score and how that plays out. So we've done payoff. Because of that payoff, you guys have successfully moved another tier. Congratulations. Excellent job. Now we deal with the little other dirty elements of what happens, and that is heat. So what's your current heat for the...
2.
Is it just 2?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you're going to receive +1 heat initially, because the target is definitely high profile, or the engagement was definitely high profile, because you were in the Green Dragon, you were seen by a number of people having a conversation. Ari definitely attracted a ton of attention. It did not happen on hostile turf, and you were not at war with anybody, and it was not there was no killing involved. So you guys did really well here. I mean, this was a circumstance. Yeah, but nobody technically died, and Grin had a good time. So we're going to say that's
Call
one
out a
heat.
win. Cool.
And because otherwise, it was a pretty smooth operation. Again, it's just 1 heat, so that means that you now have a maximum of 3. Correct?
Yep.
Okay, and your wanted level is 0. Correct?
Yep.
All right. Now.
Complication time.
Time for entanglements. Absolutely. As I was going to roll in fucking Twitch instead of roll 20. Give me just a second, guys. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Roll 2d6, taking the lower of the 2, and a 4. Okay, so rivals are unquiet dead. And I'm going to let you guys choose yet again. So just real quickly for reading it up. Unquiet dead. A rogue spirit is drawn to you. Perhaps it's a past victim. Acquire the services of a whisperer or a railjack to attempt to destroy it, banish it, or deal with it yourself. Or rivals. A neutral faction throws their weight around. They threaten you, a friend, or a contact, and one of your vice purveyors. Forfeit 1 rep or 1 coin per tier of the rival, or stand up to them and lose 1 status with them.
Ooh.
So it's either Moon or deal with the Shroud. Did I say that out loud?
I don't know. Well, is it as easy as paying off the Shroud?
Well, good luck paying off Moon.
I know. That's what I'm
Give him
saying.
tea,
Like, I
he'll be
can't pay
happy.
off Moon. So if it's as easy as paying off the Shroud, that's technically how the mechanics of it work. But I realize narratively that might not be so simple.
But also Moon.
Also Moon.
So it won't be the Shroud. It would be a rival faction, smuggler faction. In this case, let's say it's the Foghounds.
Oh, let's do that.
Ooh.
Oh, absolutely.
They're tier
Stand
1,
up to them. They already hate us. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so you stand up to them, and you basically lose one status. You would use 1 level of status. So you go from being neutral to on your way to war with them.
Oh, dang.
So -1 in the status.
I don't know
fields.
that we were neutral with them.
Well, so so they clearly don't know who you are at this point.
Now,
Everything that you've done up until this point has been set in a way that provides the circumstance that they don't have your identity, right?
Are they tier 1?
They're- Say what?
Are they tier 1 or tier 2?
I believe they're tier 1. Let me double check that.
Ooh,
It's 1, yeah.
war.
Well,
What
there
is
are
it
always changes
good
going on in
for?
the background, so.
Oh, okay. Maybe they're tier 0 now. Maybe we've crippled enough.
Yes.
No, they are still tier 1.
Oh.
Can I
But
just
they have a weak
shoot them
hold.
all?
You're so mean.
Just do
Just the
it.
end.
Just
It's like, so Sling, what's your downtime? I haven't seen you in a week. Oh, I killed everybody in the farmhouse. It's nice to know.
Just us. And a goat.
I always knew you had
I
it
bring a goat back to Donovan. It's like, where have you been? Oh, I just
Bring a
kill
goat
everybody in the
covered
city.
with the dead bodies of the foghounds.
Merry Christmas.
Well, they are technically big
You're
enough to be
forgiven.
able to support the weight
God.
of.
Like, God,
That
I
is
could
my
give you
new
more
plan.
lure. Like, you're clearly very effective when you have a lot of it.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, I'm fine with standing up to the foghounds and losing 1 status with them. If you guys are.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I hate those guys.
Isn't Moon on her contract? Moon is dead. And no, he wasn't. Moon is not in the shroud. Moon is a dead man
He's in the shroud of our hearts.
of the afterlife.
Moon is
Moon's-
just
Moon's
only
body-
in the sky, and that is
He is the
okay with that.
phantom of our souls, and he is with us every step of the way.
Moon has gone to the farm upstate.
He's playing with all the bunnies.
Tea farm.
He's raising the goats.
Okay. Anyways, so
Moon's body is technically cold. That is all you know.
Wait.
That's fine.
That's enough to go with.
you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm not going to think about that statement anymore at all.
No, I'm going to ignore that you've said that. Moving on.
If you donate $50 right now, Johnny will reveal the secret.
Maybe.
Don't do- well, maybe.
No. So if you're basically going to stand up to the foghounds, that means that some disagreement, disturbance happened, and they are now aware of who Phantom is. And you're okay with that particular stance.
Maybe we should just pay him a coin, but I don't want to help them either. What are the other options?
Oh,
So rivals, you can forfeit 1 coin per tier of the rival, which would be 1 coin. You can forfeit 1 rep
Which
for the rival instead,
That
which
would
you don't
be nice.
have
Yeah,
because,
okay.
yeah. Or you can stand up to them and lose 1 status with them.
What do you guys think? Coin or let them know who we are?
Or moon.
Or moon? Moon's still an option. Moon's still on the table.
My vote is moon. Thanks for having me.
yeah. Yeah, I'm switching to Moon.
No, okay, that's fair. That'll be entertaining.
Yeah.
Sure, that sounds like the most fun.
Did I
What
really
is
just
our-
hear you
what is
guys?
What does our whisper?
I
have
don't
to say?
know this is a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I'm staying out of this.
This is
I'm staying out of this.
Johnny's "Are you sure?" moment.
Like, now, how do you want to play this? Or how do
Give
you
him
want to
some-
do this?
We'll give him some tea, and it'll be fine, and we'll all move on with our lives. And
He's
everything will
double
go well.
fisting the PG tips. He did let us know pre-stream that there is double PG tips going on in his life right now.
It's true.
So I think
that means he's a dangerous man.
it is. It does.
I'm switching back to foghounds. All right, we're gonna have to vote. I vote foghounds. I vote we pay him off with coin.
Chop's gone.
Yeah, I'll
Sure,
give
yeah.
up
Coin, give him a
another
coin.
Ah,
Give a coin. All right.
Another coin.
I'll mark it off
Fine.
from my personal stash of coins. You're welcome. I give up so much for this crew.
Oh, you are a hero.
You
Sky.
So many sacrifices.
You pure-hearted saint.
So to me, what this sounds like is if you're paying off the coin, somebody heard the conversation that was going on at the Green Dragon. And there was a little bit of an exchange that dealt with the fact that the foghounds were somehow connected in some way, shape, or form. Ari saw interest from somebody at the use of the foghounds, and she immediately stepped up and sweet talk to that person with a little bit of coin to keep them silent. That to me sounds like how that would really work out. Does that make sense to everybody else, or is there's some other approach that you want to do with that?
I agree.
Sounds good to me.
Excellent. Good. Now,
Done.
entanglements. Done.
So-
You got away from the fact
All
that
right,
you
now
could have.
goats.
So, goats.
Well, now
No.
it's downtime, right? So it's time to train the goats.
Oh, yes.
All right. So each of you are going to get each of you are going to get downtime actions. Remember, you guys get 2 free downtime actions, and there are ways to gain additional ones. So, in the interest of trying to do this a little quickly, because I didn't really anticipate as we were building up to this when I planned this out. Let's go ahead and just go quickly around, and if you've got something story-wise, great. Otherwise, just kind of be prepared to jump onto the next thing if possible. All right, we're going to start with Ari. Ari, are you ready to do downtime actions?
Sure, let's do this.
Okay.
I guess overall, she probably would just want to have a drink or two just to kind of take her mind off of everything that's happened today or wind down. But other than that, I can't imagine her having too much else after last week. Yeah.
So how much stress is your on your character sheet right now?
On my character sheet, I have 2 stress. Sorry,
You
2
should
stress.
not indulge your vice.
You should not indulge your vice. That's what
Okay.
that's. So my suggestion would be either to start a downtime project, or long-term project, train or reduce heat, or you could. And the reason I bring this up is based on the way that things went on last night's show. You could acquire an asset.
Okay, it is possible that maybe, especially with the events of her talking to Clav,
Mm-hmm.
that might count as acquire an asset.
Sure. We could roll that and find out the quality of that kind of, of that asset, and the fact that you just leveled your crew to tier 1 actually affects the way that rolls out.
Cool. Let's try that. Let's try acquiring an asset.
Okay. So, long story short, let me get to that real quick. Shut up. Downtime activities, acquire an asset, gain temporary use of an asset, blah, 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 blah. So to acquire an asset, you roll the crew's tier. The result indicates the quality of the asset you get using the crew's tier as the base. So I'm going to have you roll a 1d6. Or is there a tier option on the character sheet?
Not that I can find initially, but I'm totally willing to be told otherwise. I'm very new to Roll20.
No, it's all good. Skeety, do you see something on your crew character sheet that indicates that you can roll the tier in some way?
No, I don't see that. I imagine it would just be.
Yes, you can.
Oh, click on the word tier.
Oh.
Yes.
Click on the word tier. So
Okay.
Go to crew mode, or not crew mode. Go to the phantom sheet and click on the word tier.
Where's the phantom sheet? I only see crew.
Well, she just rolled a 1d6. So I'm gonna go ahead and let her do that for now, or go with that roll because it's actually a decent roll. So Clav was let go after your conversation, and somehow word gets to you that he is now seeking further employment.
He was
we-
just doing so well. He was starting to get good. No.
So you did a roll, or maybe it was just the way that you and Trend were role playing. You gave him all of his confidence. You made him feel amazing about himself, and subsequently, OC last night shut him down and made him feel intimidated, such that all of that love, all of that positive emotion, that confidence, just melted away in him almost immediately. So you now have somebody who is very aware of OC's current situation and her current business model and all the things that are going on, because he just came out of there. He's also, incredibly well trained, incredibly well versed in what's going on. So you basically have yourself a male courtesan, or a gentleman, or however you want to think about it, as an asset. Based on your role, he is a tier 1 asset, which means that anytime that you engage him at some point, for whatever you use him for next, he'll roll 1d6, unless you want to spend some coin and increase his quality level, which is 2 coin per quality level. The other thing about this particular asset is, if you decide on your next downtime action you want to take a long-term project, you can turn him from an asset to a cohort, which means you get him permanently.
I think we'll stick with asset for now.
Okay.
I wish I had the 2 coin.
Okay, that's okay.
So for now, we'll keep him as a level 1.
Yeah, he's going to be a tier 1 asset that you can use in social circumstances.
Cool.
All right, so that'll be your first downtime action. Good job. So basically, he came to you, and you now have essentially a business relationship with him.
I know what it's like to be tossed aside by OC, so I will happily take him under my wing.
Okay. She is going to be burned by that. I love this. All right, so that was your first downtime action. What would you like to do for your second one?
I'll train.
Okay. So which of the 3 attributes are you going to train?
I am going to train Sway. Can I train Sway?
You can train Resolve, which is what Sway is a part of.
Okay, yeah, so then I'll do train Resolve.
Yeah, so just go ahead and mark off one of the chits in Resolve, and that'll be both your downtime actions, unless you want to push yourself and take a new one, or pay coin and take a new one.
No, I'm good.
Excellent. All right, why don't we jump up to Hocus. Hocus, what would you like to do for your downtime actions?
Plural?
You get 2. Remember, you get 2 free ones.
Right. One of them is definitely going to be train and resolve.
Okay.
So I guess I'll add a bar there.
All right, sounds good.
That brings me up to 4. 2 more, and I can do the thing. And I would like to, since Hocus is so busy running back and forth through various provinces or districts of the city, at some point while he's in Charter Hall, I would like to resume the Valen inquiry.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was a couple of episodes ago. Do you remember where you left off in that inquiry?
I had discovered that Professor Valen and the other Professor
Turin
have both been gone for a while, and messages for them have been stacking up. So they've apparently been gone for a week or 2, and which is, of course, much longer ago now.
Okay.
And that nobody really knows where they are. That it was not uncommon for them to disappear for a day or 2 while they went off researching something, but they've never been gone this long.
Okay. So how do you want to advance this project?
All right. At some point, with all of the messages going back and forth between the houses, is there anything? No. Yes. Any messages that I have to deliver to the Bluecoats in Charter Hall? Because while I'm there, dropping off any one of a number of missives, then I would, stop long enough to ask one of the things, just bring up the fact that I've had several messages that I've been attempting to deliver to one of the professors at the Arcane University, but he appears to have gone missing, and just a little concerned that I hadn't heard anything more about it. And have they heard anything about that?
So I'm sorry, did you say Char Hollow or Charter Hall?
Charter Hall.
Okay, all right. So I mean, as a downtime action, you would definitely be in the position also as the courier is your day job. You would definitely be able to wait for, or, find the right moment or trade the circumstances so that you could get to Charter Hall and then go talk to the Blue Coats there. Okay. So yeah, that's absolutely possible. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a roll of some kind. When you're inquiring about this, and you're inquiring to a Blue Coat, you stop into Blue Coat headquarters, and not just be aware that also the Charter Hall is not just where the university is; it's where the seat of day-to-day government is. So it's where the bureaucracy really happens, where the various offices are. So, when you inquire through the Blue Coat, how is it that you is it like a casual conversation, or are you leading the conversation, or what? I mean, because I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the right appropriate action, or
what is the
we need to decide
for me asking this question.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Basically just that there have been many messages that have been delivered, and they're beginning to stack up. If anything has happened to him, then these missives don't have to be delivered anymore. They would effectively go to a dead letter office.
Right.
And anyone who comes to us saying, I need this delivered to so-and-so, we can tell them, instead of having them continue to pay us to deliver messages to someone who's dead, that we can then pass on this information that this person is no longer living, and it would be, they don't need to try to send them messages anymore.
Okay. So to me, that sounds like it's either a sway or even a consort. So you've got one action dot in either or. So just go ahead and choose whichever one you want to make a roll. And again, the position and effect are going to be they're going to be just the whatever the defaults are, because they don't have any effect on long-term projects.
I've got risky for default.
Yeah. They're not going to have any effect. It's just the actual result itself. It will determine how many segments you advance, because the Valen inquiry is only a 4-segment clock. So you should probably get to the end of this at this point and find more information.
So risky, standard, and
that's correct.
The bonus dice and 3.
Okay, so actually you
rolls like shit.
Right. Well, so you only advance at 1, but you're very close actually, because when you make the inquiry, the Blue Coat that you engage says the circumstances of the disappearance is not as troublesome as there have been some coin pass and some palms, appropriately, filled with coin, and that Valen is currently being held in an undisclosed location, and that they would be happy to take his messages from you if you can provide them for them, and that he is actually quite safe. Turin, on the other hand, is still an unknown.
Well, I don't presently have the messages on me. They've been delivered already. But I suppose that I can talk to the personnel at the university and get them from his desk, or wherever they're being held. Or if you would rather do that directly, I suppose is up to you.
Any interaction with the university is not has been requested as being on the Valen's location should not be disclosed to the university in any way, shape, or form, or our involvement.
I see. So I should get them then. All right, if I can. I believe there is some bit of not rule, but process at the courier's office that if messages remain undelivered for X amount of time, that we can take them back. All right, very well, thank you. I will tend to it, and I will bring them to you.
He nods and shows his appreciation and says, your discretion is incredibly important.
Part of the service.
Okay, so now you've got a clear path to that final step. So when you take your next downtime action, no matter what the roll is going to be, you're going to at least get one. So we're going to just fulfill it. You'll just take that automatically. There will be no roll, and then we'll give you the details about what that actually means.
Okay.
All right. So how about Sling? Sling, what would you like to do, Mother of Goats?
Hello, that's me, the mother of goats. Pleasure to make all your acquaintance. I do believe I have a meeting to attend in my downtime.
You do. You do have a meeting to attend.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun?
That is an amazing opportunity there. And it's also going to, I believe, progress the lost effort progress clock. That is a 6-segment clock that's sitting on the game table. So imagine that.
Wow, it's not like this has been the source of all my panic for the last 2 weeks. This is fine.
Okay, Sling, where would Sling feel comfortable about making the meeting happen? Because they're going to acquiesce to any request that you have, given that you're the person who brought this information to them. They want you to feel safe. And the individual that you spoke to previously assured you that the person you'll be meeting with will be trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember them saying that they wanted to meet at some kind of bar, but Sling would feel most comfortable somewhere near the train station, where pretty much our only friend in the entire city is.
So you want to meet them near the rail yard?
Near the rail yard.
Is it the kind of thing where it have to be populated, or would it be
in a kind of non-pop? Like I can imagine there's kind of places around the rail yard where you could sit, and she'd like it to be around there. Okay. So that just in case anything does go wrong, her friend is around and can help out.
Right. Okay. So when you go to the meeting, do you take anybody with you? Do you set up any other type of protection? What other type of, do you have a contingency plan is essentially what I'm going for.
I don't know who I could trust because everything's going wrong for Sling today. She'd probably not bring anybody else.
Okay.
I want to, Brynn. I want to. I want to.
You can tell
Sling's
Sky.
scared. I mean, yeah, sure. I'll tell Sky.
Yeah, you can tell Sky.
I'll bring Sky along.
I'll help. Sure.
I really.
Don't tell me what we're doing.
I really, as me, really want to bring Grin along. But Sling, I'm not sure if she knows that.
Sling has already gone to Grin, and Grin
that is true.
Grin has proven that he has information and he is pretty reliable.
That's true.
And as far as those iffy contracts go, Grin and Sling have the same contract. True.
Okay,
take Grin.
I'm telling Grin. I'm being like, you know what, Grin? I've got a plan.
Yay,
Grin is useful.
We're going.
So, Grin, let me ask you this: are you going with her? And okay, are you going with her as obvious protection, or as because?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the big sword's coming.
As I
did. I don't remember that. That's news to
I've
me.
been here all along.
If she found Grin, she probably found him at the Devil's Tooth, since that's his second home.
She would have gone to his hangout.
Well, and
Not-
she had already
not
met him
Donovan's.
previously at the Devil's Tooth, so I think that there's precedence there for that. If anybody is aware of what's
had
happening,
myself
it's
muted.
probably Ari.
Fine.
Yeah, I was about to say, I
If
do know
anybody's-
that that's his hangout. I know that that's where she would find him if she wanted him. But as for whether she would actually bother to do anything about that,
Okay, all right. So
Meh.
Doesn't sound that fun.
Yeah, it sounds
You-
really boring, actually. I think you should stay maybe at the inn. There's a bar
You-
fight, I've heard.
What you know would be really fun is if you knew about it and you told Sky.
You know, it'd be really fun if you didn't.
If you didn't, yeah.
you know what's really interesting about the order with which I've chosen this so far? I've made sure that certain people can't actually tell you first, but that you might find out later.
Mm.
Interesting how the downtime is really, yeah, okay. Anyways,
see, I might be able
There's
to
not like
find out later, but right now, like, if you're going to do anything, no, she's too busy. How was it we put it last week? Nailing her files.
No, that sounds way more fun. You should keep doing that all day.
Mhm.
okay, so Sling, Grin, you move into the rail yard at the appropriate hour. And we're going to say that the appropriate hour is, where is it? The hour of pearls, which happens to be about midnight. And the hour of pearls at the rail yard happens to be one of those times when there is very little activity. And there is, there are no trains scheduled to come in. There are no activity going on in the various warehouses, so that the rail yard is relatively quiet. And while you suggested the rail yard for the meeting place, the individual that you're going to meet suggested that you meet at the hour of pearls. As you begin to approach, you were told to meet at essentially what is a point where there's a couple of escape routes that Grin has already kind of figured out, because he kind of scoped this all out earlier. And you begin to make your way, and under your feet are the gravel of what you would find in the area where there's a lot of work. So your feet kind of crunch a little bit, but your footfalls don't really echo all that much, because there's so many cargo containers and so many warehouses and train cars that are kind of absorbing. And hello, kitty in the background.
He's for luck. He's for luck. It's gonna be fine.
He wants to be a goat. He decided he wants to be a goat on the show. So you're kind of making your way through the various buildings, coming up essentially one of the avenues of escape. And you turn a corner and you see quite a tall individual, openly carrying a sword, who Grin immediately recognizes as being a Scovelander, by the way that he moves and walks and by the weapons that he carries. Because not only does he carrying quite a large sword on his back, he also has a set of blades, one on each hip, which are known for close quarters fighting. And he's just standing there with another individual, sort of hidden behind him, kind of standing. And they mark your approach almost immediately, and step back in a way that indicates that while they're guarded, they mean there's no intent to attack.
Do I recognize either of them as the one I was speaking to?
No, you do not.
Okay.
And you were told when you received information about the meeting place that the circumstance would be that you would be meeting two people completely new, and that's part of that is to keep to make sure that the folks that participate in the loss, that are a part of this, essentially this underground army stay separate from each other so that none of them can be taken at the same time. It's very much a rebellious kind of a tactic where no more than a couple of people at a time are in there. So as you approach, they relax a little bit as they see that you've brought your own protection as well. And while they eye Grin and kind of look at him, up and down to evaluate the tactical situation, the taller of the two kind of looks at you and immediately engages by bowing in what Grin takes as a Skovlander etiquette for a greeting, a formal greeting when you meet somebody new, kind of a thing. And he stands up, and then he holds his hand out to you and says, "My name is Cortland. How may I be of service?"
And I return the bow and clasp his arm. You can help the young lady here.
We understand that you, my dear, that you have concerns over a merchant. Has this person hurt you?
Not directly, sir, no. But, these things take time.
Curious. So we did a little investigation initially. We asked around. We did not find any evidence, so it gives us pause.
I'm not surprised, sir. You see, this merchant, I'm sure the guy I told. I'll start from the beginning, shall I? This guy, he finds people who, need something from him, whatever that may be, and in return for, pretty much their life, he'll give it to them. Pretty hefty cost, if you ask me. But part of the deal that he makes is that anyone that's heard of him, part of it, done anything with it, they're not allowed to say, sir. And if they do, I don't want to think about what'll happen to him.
At that, he looks a little concerned, looks over at Grin, and says, "Contract?"
Yeah. Yeah. The lass and I are in the same contract.
Nope.
No.
No, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the fact that Joff asked us to hold him to the fact that he was going to do a very specific voice for Grin.
I'm trying to do the damn voice.
I'm knowing the other things.
I'm just getting notes from every direction.
Different notes.
What he means to say, sir,
Retcon.
is flashback. I'm going to remind Grin before we go in that we can't tell anybody that we're in the contract, because if we are, then we're screwed.
Right.
Flashback.
Joff forgot that. But Grin knew.
I'm going to clarify something for you guys right now. You can't tell anybody that you work for Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Hey. Character versus player knowledge.
He's already said it, so.
Well, so no.
Right,
Here's the thing, right? This is an important distinction, and I love that we're having this part of the conversation right now. So, character knowledge versus player knowledge also means character understanding versus player understanding. You don't have to say anything that you don't feel that your character would say or acknowledge. If you believe that's even mentioning that you were under contract, but if Grin's interpretation of it is different than Sling's interpretation, that's even more interesting. But as players, no, it was the stipulation around that was you can't tell anybody you work for Sky, not that you were under contract. but it's how your characters understand it. And Speedy is very, very, good to point that out. I agree with the stipulation there that it's definitely character versus player knowledge. So, but
Okay.
if Sling believes one thing and Grin believes something else about that particular set of the statements, then that even puts more dynamic and more stress on Sling in her current
I can do with some
situation,
more stress.
right?
That's fine. Just give me more stress. Things are well. Things are well.
Huh.
So I'll give you a second to think about that while he looks between the two of you and then says, Hicks. And the smaller person comes up and you realize that it is a young boy.
Wait, hang on,
Probably no
player question. Did you just say Nix? Or am I mishearing?
Hicks. H-I-X.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, there's
No.
another Nix. I'm
It's
going to
too
get so
confusing.
confused.
All right, I'm going to change his name. All right, it's going to
Get
be
Aldo 4 and bring him over here.
it's
Aldo.
Holtz.
Holtz.
Holtz. He says Holtz. And this young boy steps up about the age of 10, just about to see his growth spurt in puberty. And Grin, you immediately again recognize another Scovelander of your, you recognize the clothing, the mannerisms of a Scovelander child, even the name being very much a Scoveland name, something very traditional. And he whispers to Holtz for just a second, and you hear, "Are you sure, Father?" The man shakes his head, and he immediately takes off and says, "If you can't say contract, if you can't say, then this is worse than we already expected." Can't hear you. What are you saying?
I'm not saying. I'm just making mouth movements.
Yeah, ditto.
Stop that!
Wait, is he leaving? Did you say he was leaving?
No, the boy is leaving. Holtz is
Boy,
the
okay.
the
God, I had
boy
a,
is
like
leaving.
I'm on a panic attack. I was like, no, don't go. We need you. Okay.
Yeah, I get that exactly. So he, those are the Westcont. And
I
he
know.
shakes his-
That's kind of why I came to you, sir.
But you're in health. You're alive. And he kind of motions you to come forward a little bit, and what he's basically doing is motioning you to come into the light a little bit, because there's a light that he's currently standing in.
I'm gonna look at Grin for a moment. Kind of just nod and step forwards into the light. And then I melt and I disappear from everything.
Teleport into the astral plane. Moon appears.
Well, that's where Taikirosi women are from, right? The
Yeah.
astral plane. They just kind of appear
I
out of
can
nowhere.
just teleport at will.
So he looks at you over, and he extends an open hand to you, motioning for you to give you his hand, or for you to give him your hand.
I very slowly do so.
And he takes his other hand, and he's very slow and he's very cautious, and he shows that he means you no intent. And he takes your
I'm like a
hand,
spooked deer. I'm just like,
and he turns it over, and he looks at your bare hand, and looks at, he raises the sleeve of your arm just a little bit, kind of looking at your hand and your wrist and your forearm, and he sees the mark on your arm, and he turns it back over, and he lets you go, and he says, "Say no more. We will follow."
thank you, sir. Thank you.
And he thinks about it for a second, and he says, He looks to Grin and says, Holtz will find you. If there is a problem, let him know. We will not move until you are safe.
Understood.
And he steps back and he shows his hands like this and just kind of begins to walk back. And then as he gets to a corner, he turns and walks
Before
away.
he does, I want to try and recreate the bow that they did before as a sign of respect. I'm gonna, in my best attempt.
Okay.
And then turn to him like, well,
Do me a favor.
Oh no.
Roll me something for that.
God, it's gonna be like that was the most offensive thing you could have done.
I was going to say, it's a greeting. So
stabs
doing
you
that in parting is
in the
probably
neck.
a terrible offense.
Well, do me a favor. Roll something for that. I want whether it's sway,
I
whether
have
it's
nothing
consort.
in any of those.
Will you have anything in resolve?
No.
What do you have? God, Sling, gosh.
I'm very insightful and I have good prowess. But I am just a simple Taikochi girl.
Well, you've got something in consort.
Well.
Why don't you go ahead and roll consort?
I don't. Do I? No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm looking at your character sheet.
I don't.
Oh no, that's Moon. I'm sorry. What the hell is Moon there?
Oh, no.
What the hell?
What does Moon have to do with this? Why are you?
Yeah, seriously.
Live in
He's
his
been
shadow.
possessing Louise this whole time.
Spoiler.
I could do a survey because I surveyed the bow.
Is there any way that Grin's presence assisted that exchange?
Yes, it does. It's going to give her an additional die.
Okay.
Just do me a favor. Roll 2d6.
Oh God. Okay.
I know it's one of
Louise.
those situations. I'm just looking to see how far this advances the clock.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well
So,
then.
this advances the clock 2 segments, which means that the next time that this comes up in downtime, that you take this action, we will talk about what the results of this circumstance is. It will involve Grin and Sling talking to Holtz. So this is an impending progress clock right there. So you guys get to choose when that happens.
Okay.
All right.
Woohoo!
Well, that was
Woo!
Sling's first action, downtime action. What would Sling like to do for the second downtime action?
Cry. I would like to, if it's possible, also with Grin. Oh, good times. We're best of friends. Could I progress the Sling's past clock?
Oh, you absolutely can.
Because I know I spoke to you a little bit about this during my absence.
Yes, we did. We did have a brief exchange, and that was going to come into play, but there wasn't an opportunity last week to do that. So,
and it was that in the last time I was here, Grin and I speaking about back home about Taikochi. He said if I ever needed anybody looked into specifically, he could do so, and I would like him to look into the name Kellar Markden and specifically what that name means to the gang that he was looking into.
okay. So
Player note: Kellar Markden happens to be her real name.
oh, you had to ruin it for everybody. Okay, so Sling, do me a favor, and you're going to. This is actually going to be a fortune roll.
Okay.
Because there's nothing that's quite appropriate that works for both of you, but I think given your history and Grin's you engaging Grin in the past, it's not going to be 1d6, which would be just the sheer luck. I think it's going to be 3d6, and that's the sheer luck for the first die. The amount of information that you can provide, not only about your home setting, but the information that you've had previously to be able to build on to ask very specific questions. And then it's Grin's contacts into the Skovlander mercs that were being engaged about for him to participate in the Tycherosi essentially campaign that's being built to deal with the gangs that are going on at the rail yard in the Tycherosi city.
Okay.
So with all that in mind, I'm going to have you go ahead and roll me a 3d6.
3d6s. I can do that for you right now.
And we'll take the highest.
Okay.
So that only advances it 1. But so 1 through 3 being 1 segment, 4, 5 being 2 segments, 6 being 3 segments, and then crit being 4 segments. So with that in mind, remind me of the information. Remind me of the name of the person that you were curious about before.
Loman Rend.
That's right, Loman. Okay, so as you're walking back from this exchange, you engage Grin to go off and make some more inquiries about this. And you thank him and show your appreciation to him for doing all of this. And he wanders off to Kellen's in Char Hollow, which happens to be a Skolender establishment, and spends a good deal of time there. Spends a good night drinking and catching up and asking a variety of information. Just in the casual way that he can. What he is able to find out is that there have been inquiries sent from Tycherosi down the way for various orphans that were once associated with this Loman person. No one is named, but it appears that those inquiries are being paid for in drug coin to locate these individuals, to see if they're at any of the other major locations along the way from between Tycherosi and the imperial capital.
Okay.
And Dosqual is right on that path, essentially.
Okie dokie. Don't know if that's good for me or not. We'll find out.
Yeah, so they're absolutely inquiring about these individuals that these orphans that disappeared, essentially. So you would definitely get the impression that you're going to start stressing because you're one of them. All right. So with that in mind, we're going to go over to Grin. Your kitty downtime actions are.
Can we do the follow-up with Holtz as my first? Since it kind of does concern Grin.
Okay, sure. So this is a long-term project. Anybody can work on a long-term project as long as they're aware of it.
Okay. I would like to assist in Sling's long-term project.
Yes.
What would you like to do?
Well,
I'm sorry. I blame MadameGandalf. That's brilliant. Anyways, go on. Sorry. What? So you engage Holtz. Your inquiry to Holtz is what?
Well, I mean, Holtz was gonna come looking for us if there was.
When they were ready, when they were ready, to be in position, Holtz was going to contact you, and then they would be at the ready for whatever they were basically going to follow to figure out where this person was, because they jumped to the conclusion that you were going to lead them to the troublesome merchant.
Right.
I mean, so this is a pretty definitive action here.
Yeah, I don't want to summon Holtz. I want to wait for Holtz, but I can't force that to happen. So talk to me about what your intent here is. I want to progress, basically, Sling's ask. I want to I want to. I'm not sure.
Well, no. So the reason I'm asking what you want to do with that is because so the end of the progress, the end of the clock will happen on the next action, because no matter what the roll is, it's going to be a minimum of one segment to progress. So 1 through 3 would be one segment. 4 or 5 would be 2 segments, and there would be 3. But there's only one segment left in this particular clock. So. Okay. The opportunity to take action based on whatever, to complete this clock then becomes a decision-making, circumstance, or a narrative. There needs to be a narrative conversation about what the result of that is. How are the lost going to help Sling in this particular circumstance? So if you want to take a moment and have a conversation with Sling about it privately in Discord or someplace else while I jump to Speedy, we can do that.
Okay, let's do that.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
Right. I'm so concerned. You guys just mute yourself in Zoom, hop in Discord, and we'll just keep on going.
Or keep on.
Yep.
All right. So you just successfully completed the score with your crew. Speedy, what are you doing now?
I want to use my downtime action to stop whatever they're doing.
You're not going to Disneyland? All right. Anyways,
I was gonna say
no. All right. So I received 2 pretty important pieces of information that
Absolutely.
I want to look into, and one is that the Lost are looking into me, essentially, as someone who is potentially not treating workers well. Correct? I don't know if they're involved at all, but I know the Lost is looking into me.
So the only thing that you know is that the Lost are looking into a merchant who is exploiting his workers.
Well, you said that there was a merchant who pointed them towards me.
No, I said that there was a merchant that pointed them towards Donovan's as a part of that inquiry. So it wasn't a clear cut. You can jump to that conclusion, and the evidence is there. The circumstantial evidence is to support it, but there's not a clear indication yet. Now, if I was to say, if you did a downtime action where you did some, maybe you did a long-term project, or you engaged well, no, that would necessarily see. Hold on just a second. So if you were to engage your cohorts in such a way, like your Rook network in such a way to find out even more, and you were to ask about the source of that particular information, you might find out that there's a Taikarosi woman looking into that.
Right.
But that's player knowledge that is actually out there, because that actually got talked about last night on Shroud.
Right.
So that information is out there. You just there has to be a role associated for you to be able to find it. But it's gonna be a pretty easy role, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I already know that there's someone that the Lost are looking into a merchant who is treating their workers poorly. I know that my employees think that I am treating them poorly. I can't really hide that. I know that's what they think.
No, that's you would definitely have that impression based on exchanges.
And I know that I know they were pointed to Donovan, so I know that they may not know of me specifically, but if they don't yet, they're about to.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do with that information, though, is the problem, as they plot of what they're going to do.
So let me give you some bits of things that you can do from a suggestion standpoint. If you really want to use your downtime action to not increase the difficulty, introduce complications into whatever it is that they're going to be doing. Things like acquiring an asset are something that would definitely apply here. For example, you could get a cohort that could be either an intermediary or to take the heat for you, right? So you could acquire an asset that is just going to
a scapegoat.
It's kind of like, so for example, if you acquire an asset, and as we're talking about in downtime, when you deal with entanglements, there's an element of entanglements called gang trouble, which is where one of your cohorts screws up, where you have to take some sort of action based on that, or there's some sort of recovery. Nix, for example, the first time that he engaged they came off of a score, they had gang trouble, and Nyx beat the hell out of one of his cohorts to basically shut down that situation, thus taking that, removing that circumstance or that issue. The way I could see you using acquiring an asset in this case is to acquire a cohort, either a gang or an expert, to take the heat of whatever it is that's going to be thrown at you from Grin and Sling via this lost effort. That's one option. Let me make another suggestion or two. You could acquire an asset as a service, and with that service, potentially acquire yourself either additional protection or spread misinformation such that it's not very clear, even with whatever action they take, the impending result may not be directly targeted at you. It's targeted at the previous owners of Donovan's.
Maybe it's targeted at a strange man who's been making inquiries who frequents the Vale.
Gee, I wonder if that's possible.
I mean, he certainly. I don't know how well he treats his employees entirely, but I feel like he might have some.
It's also funny because as I understand it, he doesn't really have a good relationship with the Lost already because of the Rook network. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. Anyways, yeah. So those are great examples of what you can do just from acquiring an asset, right? It would really be about misdirection at that point. And that would be in preparation to react to whatever their situation it is. Because if this comes down to Grin and Sling have decided that they're going to complete this clock through Grin's action, then we're going to go into some uncharted territory in respects to how to resolve this. But it almost sounds like we would either drop into almost a score-like kind of a setting where there might be some roles or some engagement. And you guys are having way too much fun having a conversation about this in Discord. So you guys are hilarious.
We got something. Wait,
Okay.
do we? Which one are we going with?
Not your idea.
You stand outside smoking a cigarette and.
So, like I said, as an example, you can do the assets. The assets are probably, and that would be in preparation for, the general unknown that is. The Lost are inquiring about somebody. This could potentially be me. I just want to, I want to provide myself with either, an out or an asset, or some sort of circumstance that allows me to deflect it in some way. So that's one option.
Yes, Hocus.
Not Hocus, Tren.
Okay.
Hocus.
This is obviously player knowledge, and it's kind of a dick move. But remember that we also have another episode before Shroud goes again.
That's very true.
So we can set up a very long game, kick it off in this one, end it next time, and while they're watching this episode, go, okay, we need to respond to that. In our next episode, we fuck them up. I mean,
I do.
I
like
didn't
that
say
idea.
that out loud. I had nothing to do with that.
not a thing. Neither did I. Hocus didn't. So.
Yeah. So the kind of easier option to deflect this, I feel like, would be to, I don't know exactly what they're planning, but if they're planning on sending some lost boys in to investigate Donovan's.
Sorry, it was Danger literally spit.
Okay, go on.
If they're sending some lost boys to investigate Donovan's, I could easily probably acquire an asset which is basically standard day manager of Donovan's, and have him introduce himself to people as Sky, and then when they go try and rough someone up or investigate him, he's the one that they look into, not me. I can make a few simple ghost contracts with him so he has the same marking on his arm as me. They don't have to be anything too important, mostly just that he does that single job.
I'm just imagining this poor fellow now being brought in to call himself Sky and to receive beatings on your behalf.
I mean, who knows if they're going to beat him up, like...
He'll be well compensated somehow, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who would get paid to be beaten up. I know a person who would pay to be beaten up. I know at least a few people from Shroud.
I know a few people from Shroud who would do the beating.
Yeah. But they might be hard to get. to do that. Alternatively, there's Nyx. There's this man who I could try and deflect and say there's some information that he is the one who's been doing this, and perhaps even well, we know that he's actually also been looking into this, right?
He actively has been wandering around Night Market around Donovan's.
Yeah, so we know that he's been wandering around Donovan's. We know that the Lost are also investigating Donovan's. I suppose we don't necessarily know they're not working together.
No, you don't know that the Lost have been looking into Donovan's. You just know that they've been looking around. It was the merchant that told them information about Donovan's.
Right.
So
okay. Well,
that's an important distinction, but you could still jump to the conclusion.
Yeah.
That you just made.
So yeah. So it wouldn't be a lie to say that that this man has been coming around, sneaking around Donovan's, possibly there to plant some information, possibly even greasing some palms to tell people that I have possibly been doing some inhumane things to get the Lost off of his personal tail. And just player knowledge alone, I know that it's entirely true that he was greasing palms around here. And so I like that idea.
So we're going to call that what, though? Is that you engaging in a cohort, or is that a service that you're engaging to distribute that information?
I would call that engaging my cohort.
Okay.
People from the Vice Dens and people from the merchants who are around here. I imagine we know that the Lost are still kind of looking into this, so any questions that they would have to ask, they could easily they could probably be persuaded to say, without even lying, that that another man had come by asking the same things and seemed very intent on pushing some information on Donovan's.
Okay. All right. So why don't you go ahead and this is going to be a tier roll for the asset to determine the quality of the essentially the information that's going to get used to misdirect, or however it plays out. But it will have some bearing on the situation whenever Grin takes his action for Sling, or however that goes out. But so go ahead and roll a tier roll of some kind.
Is it a tier roll, or is it me personally rolling consort and getting an additional die for having a cohort?
This is an acquiring asset action for downtime, so it's definitely a tier roll. According to,
well, I'm not acquiring an asset though. This is an asset I already have though, isn't it?
In this particular case, it follows the very specific rules of rolling or dealing with downtime actions, right? And so acquiring an asset, a downtime action, you roll the crew's tier. The result indicates the quality of the asset that you get using the crew's tier as its base. So while you already have cohorts, and you might argue for having a +1 die for that,
mm-hmm.
This is still an acquiring an asset roll specifically for this situation for deflection. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and roll us 2d6 then?
All right. Can I push myself for this as well?
Sure can.
All right.
Because any roll you can push yourself.
Yeah. I also from last week's donations, we had a ton of donations, and so I have I can push myself without taking the additional.
Okay, sounds great.
Stress.
That's awesome.
So I'm gonna do that.
Thank you for remembering that. That's awesome.
Welcome, readers.
Yes.
Whoa,
welcome, Unmade
Welcome,
Gaming
Unmade Gaming.
with perfect timing.
This is going to be amazing.
6. Success without complications.
Wow.
We're older. I thought we're younger.
So, okay. So this is a tier 2 asset. So which means that if when any die is rolled related to this, it's going to be a minimum of 2d6. So to avoid or to deflect or whatever the circumstances requires, with these cohorts, your first downtime action is you now have acquired an asset that is going to help you survive this in some way. And it gives you a base of 2d6. Excellent. So you now have that, and you've spent some time preparing, given the circumstances that you are a little put out by that particular information. What do you want to do with your second downtime action?
So I've acquired the asset that's going to deflect some blame off of them onto this other man. I could use my other downtime action to try and investigate who this guy actually is as well. Using some contacts potentially at the Veil.
Okay. But so that's not necessarily a downtime action. That could be a long-term project.
Right.
So like that's what I mean. So what I mean is you could wait till free play in order to do an investigation, or you could start it as a long-term project. This is the kind of thing where I think it's more of a free action or a free play action, because it's gonna, let's be honest, Nyx has not been very, cautious in his comings and goings in night market. Yeah. And I hope Mike heard that. Anyways, so what do you want to do with your other downtime action?
In that case, I've deflected one thing. I suppose, would it also be free action to to start investigating what's going on with the job that we were given by the Bluecoats?
Yeah, so that would definitely all fall into the realm of you guys doing all the research and investigation leading up to the score itself. So
all right, cool. In that case, I'll just train. I'm just gonna train my prowess.
Excellent.
Oh
well, go ahead.
Random thing. We actually have one more rep than we said previously because of the special smuggler feat that we have. That gives us one.
Okay. So you're tier 1 with 1 rep, leading towards your next advancement, which would going from weak to strong. Okay. And you don't want to push yourself for an additional action?
Is stated in the form of a question.
No, I won't.
Okay, excellent. So we now find ourselves back with Grin. Grin, you look happy as a camper.
Yeah, and I'm going to need you, Johnny, to tell me if this messes with in-game lore.
Uh-oh.
We've changed the whole game.
Yeah. Everyone is a goat.
Everyone is now a goat. That's how we're getting out of this.
When traitor if you're a goat.
Goats in the dark.
I summon Holtz to the back room of the Devil's Tooth, and I make sure that Sling is there. It's just a clandestine meeting between me, Sling, and Holtz.
Okay. Just all friends together.
And this is where the messing around with lore comes from, and actually every other player probably gonna want an opinion. Grin has heard rumors of a veteran of the Unity War, a Scovlander, who actually broke a contract and not only survived, but didn't suffer any of the curse effects.
Okay.
If I give Holtz a name, I'd like Holtz to see if this veteran ever did make his way to Dusk Bowl, because Grin hasn't seen hide nor hair of this guy in 5 or so years. So what I want the other players and yourself, Johnny, to weigh in on, is it remotely possible to break contract?
Without incurring
the curse.
That's important.
That's important.
Yes, because it's possible to break it, but we don't want the curse part.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to let the rest of the table talk about this. Actually, Speedy and I have talked a bit about this along with Mike in the background. I would love to hear information from the rest of you. What you guys think? I mean, this is a game where we get to determine the results. So
Based on the wording of the contract in the spider's feet or whatever, it basically says that if you break the contract, you are cursed until you either can fulfill the terms again or until someone can remove it from you. And I'm not sure, it might not be clear whether or not it's the curse that they're removing or the binding of the contract, but it could be one and the same.
Oh.
Either way, if it is possible to remove a curse, it's something that a very powerful whisper would have to do. Not someone of average power, but
Right.
someone with
Right.
a lot of experience. Like talking about what are those things called? The reconciled. Someone who would have knowledge of those even, possibly. It would be hard to come by, but possible.
What about, and this would be playing with fire.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. What is the rest of the table?
Demons?
Yeah, that's right.
What does the rest of the table think? Because he's right. It's on page 82 in the book, page 90 in the PDF, under Ghost Contract at the bottom. It's the italicized text in the last sentence.
Oh yeah.
You are incapacitated by withering, enfeebled muscles, hair falling out, bleeding from the eyes, ears, until you either fulfill the contract or discover a way to heal the curse. So it's not as clear about how you heal the curse, but I agree that some of the interpretations that Speedy just talked about are there. I want to hear what everybody else thinks around the table real quick.
Part of my interpretation of it, given the way that it's been described thus far, is as far as breaking the contract when you are in violation of it, depends upon your personal sense of guilt. That you're like, if I do this, this is going to break my side of the contract.
Right.
And it is that execution that triggers it. It doesn't
and
matter.
This is the difference. This is the difference between Sling and Grin. It's the same contract, but they interpreted it differently.
Right.
Therefore, internally, there are different restrictions.
Precisely. That is
okay.
That's an interesting thought as well. But the only thing that I would consider with that is it then possible to just remove your memory of having the contract and then you are no longer bound by it?
Oh.
And I don't know if that would be reasonable.
Let's get blackout drunk.
Well, wait a minute.
And forget everything.
So you're saying that if it's removed without your consent or your free will, then you think that's okay, but if it's you choose to have somebody remove it from you, that's a breaking of the contract?
Let's say, for the sake of argument, Hocus gets fucking shit-faced drunk, passed out, cold, and somebody comes along, sees sees the mark on his arm and says, oh, I'm going to do him a favor. I don't know who the fuck would do that, but they come along and they're like, I'm going to take this off. And they want to, or they want to remove the memory of it. I would believe that this is bound to the soul.
Okay.
The only way that it's going to really apply. And if you're going to remove the memory of this, then you have to remove the thing as well. And I would say that if you're going to take this thing off of someone else, you have to take it into yourself. So the thread, the tether that connects Hocus to Sky would now go from Sky to whomever this new person is. And he would it would be like a spider web getting plucked. He would be like, wait, something changed.
Any tampering with the contract immediately alerts Sky, right. And Sky knows who's messing with their own contract.
Yeah. Maybe not necessarily exactly who.
Well, it's about, I mean, if Sky has multiple birds,
yeah. If I can remember which bird is who.
Right. Right, but you don't know who's messing with it.
Like, that's John, there's Jeremy, that's Alicia, there's
Alchemy.
There's Aldo number 5.
Aldo.
There's Deke the goat.
Aldo.
Oh yeah, I remember when I signed that contract with our goat.
Yeah. Don't speak of it. Don't speak of it. So, because that thing. So, would it be possible to remove it? Yes. I don't think that you could then just have it evaporate. I don't think that would. I think that it would. The anchor would be moved from one target to another. Would be my interpretation. Yes, it can be removed, but it has to be moved.
Okay, but that's a separate question than what I'm asking about what I'm asking Speedy, which is, so I think it was you that just before you just said something before you just went on and talked about the actual physical act of removing it and where that connection goes and how it's a thread. I love the interpretation of that, and I think I'm on the same wavelength to some degree. Although in my head, I see a couple of differences. But again, that's why we're having the discussion here. The question that I'm asking is it something where if the person is conscious of their decisions, or if they choose to feel conscious about their decisions, they choose to feel remorse or whatever, or they choose to feel obligated, then that's the moment, that's what binds the contract physically. So if, say, for example, a sociopath doesn't give a shit about
that was what I was
right, the sociopath just says sure, right, takes it and immediately murders that person or murders them 6 months down the road, they don't feel remorse, they don't feel like they broke any contract, because in their mind, even though that there was that physical connection, they never were under contract, or they never believed that they were under contract. So it's a mechanism of belief, and so that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Then we fall into the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Which is, I think, a big part of what ghost contracts are. And that's why, when Sling, when Louise was just like, well, you're not supposed to say that, and it's like, and Speedy, mentioned something about, player knowledge versus character knowledge. It really comes down to what Sling and Grin believe is very different than what the actual letter of the contract was in my interpretation of it. And I'm making sure I'm clarifying what everybody around the table believes in that respect, because of all of you all took very interesting and different contracts. Of all of you, Ari was the only one who had enough, presence of mind is a great way to describe it, to make it a little bit more equal, because I don't think that I think the rest of you were kind of a little bit taken aback by what happened and just kind of went, okay. And she was like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. So even just that presence of mind, her intent, the interpretation of her contract is going to be very different. The results of her contract are going to be very different than whatever it is that Grin and Sling believe. Mm-hmm. So I'm just making sure that that's what we're talking about, is that we're talking about the letter of the law versus, the intent.
In this case,
and the intent is what the player believes that accepted the contract.
Right. So I would say in this case that if they consciously decide I am going to have this removed, then it falls to, do they feel like, is this the sort of thing that you would go to Sky in full confidence and say, no, I'm having this removed? And you just absolute confidence of you are in the right and this is coming off, and you don't care if he knows, then there is no sense of guilt, no sense of remorse, no sense of obligation whatsoever. Then in that case, I would say that no, nothing happens. It can just, be altered or taken off. But if there is even a hint of, but what if he finds out? It goes.
Right. Okay. That has been my interpretation of this so far. So does that answer your question, Joff?
Yeah, I'm basically trying to think how Grin looks at this contract, and I don't think he would have. I would have guilt, but I don't think Grin would have any guilt. He's a 25-year veteran of the Unity War. He's
seen some
got
shit.
No living family. He is really messed up in the head. He is a very broken man. This probably isn't his first contract. I'm not saying that he's broken contracts before. I don't believe he would have. He's served his contracts. I'm trying to basically justify player knowledge, which was in that first episode, I didn't understand contracts. Grin would have. And I can't, there's no retconning the contract. So it's difficult. For the purpose of this downtime action, and this is why I'm leaving it open-ended, Grin is going by a rumor of a compatriot from the war who, though Grin was not a witness, he was led to believe that this guy broke contract and suffered no ill consequence. So whether that's real or not can be determined, well, by you, Johnny. But it's the fact that Grin is following up on, oh, wait, there was that guy, Jinx Gotifer.
That's a lovely name. It's now canon. Jinx Gotifer.
Yeah.
We actually planned that name. It's a great name.
We planned that.
We genuinely did.
We both, this is what happened.
Gotifer? Goat?
You need to hear the origin story of Jinx Gotifer.
What basically
Please,
happened
I need a page-long essay describing to me all of the exploits of Jinx Gotifer before the end of the session class.
I do want to explain how we landed on that. When we were trying to come up with names at the exact same time, Louise shared Gotifer, and I went a slightly darker route and shared Goatsy.
But at the exact same second, and I was like, oh, Jinx.
Naturally, Jinx. And then we just decided to go with Jinx Gotifer.
Who is now our good friend, Jinx Gotifer.
And this was a guy from the army who was a contract breaker. And that's literally all that Grin can tell Holtz. It's like, he can probably give a physical description, and I'm not going to. Grin,
you know what? He sounds like he would have broken contract.
Yeah,
he sounds like that kind of guy.
He was a character. He was a funny guy.
What a guy.
He was that guy.
What a lad. What a lad, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but this sounds like it's an entirely new long-term project to dig into. And what I'm suggesting here is that we do what's called a linked long-term project, which means we're going to complete the long-term project that is the Lost Inquiry, or whatever it's called. What did I call
Lost
it?
Effort.
It's the Lost Effort. And we're going to start this new one, call it Jinx Gotifer. And it's going to be, it would be a 4-segment clock. And that would give you give you some insight about how that person, it would be essentially a research project where they would figure out what that means.
Okay.
Like what was the history of Jinx Gotifer and how did he break contract? And because I'm sure if he's a Scovelander and it was a part of the Unity War and he survived, that would almost be folk hero level kind of thing among Scovelanders.
Well, it's a stretch. There's no it's I knew a guy who knew the sister of a guy who it's a bit of a stretch.
Well, you said that that contracts were used by like the Scoveland military. So wouldn't it be that someone breaking a contract who was a Scoveland in the Unity War, wouldn't that be like a defector?
Yes. Absolutely yes.
That would help us.
It was actually you'd be defecting from defecting. Contracts could have been used to enforce otherwise defectors into, or perhaps you can be executed, or you can accept this ludicrous contract.
Well, so
you're gonna keep fighting.
Hold on a second, though. It doesn't necessarily have to be the independent Scoveland government that was trying to rebel against, or was trying to fight against the invading force of the Imperium. It could be that the Imperium was conscripting Scovelanders into their army, thus allowing them to continue to replenish their troops when they couldn't otherwise, continue the fight in order to successfully complete the Unity War. And it was either you die or you fight for us. And it became brother against brother kind of a situation.
That's that.
True.
So when that happened, this guy figured out a way, Jinx figured out a way to break contract and went underground. which would make sense that there is a Skovlander underground in Duskvol,
Yeah.
which he could be a part of. So what we would do is we would get together and talk a little bit about the backstory,
Of Jinx Gotifer.
Of Jinx Gotifer. And that would fill in the blanks and inform how any interaction or any story that comes up about that. But it would be a new progress clock as an action.
Have we seen linked clocks before?
We have not seen linked clocks before, but this is one of those things where, again, the game is starting to progress as we get into more and more of the advanced rules. Linked clocks are one of the more advanced rules, right? So
awesome.
So what you'll do is we'll say that the lost effort is complete. So we're gonna go ahead and advance that clock to completion. We're gonna start a new clock. We're gonna call it Jinx Gotifer, and it's gonna be a complex clock, so it's just gonna be just 4.
Okay.
And for your second downtime action, if you want, you can roll and start to progress that clock.
Yes, please.
Okay. So with that in mind, what are you going to, I mean, so you said,
that's not its name.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm trying to set up the narrative and give him an opportunity to do something while I,
We want to go out into the streets and just yell the name Jinx Gotifer until we get it.
Like Marco Polo.
So when Holtz comes to you and you see this child and he delivers the message that they're in place, that the lost are in place to follow you, to figure out who this person is, to take action. You have this different idea. How do you tell Holtz that you want to hold off, and you know that him and his father are Skovlander, and so how about this, or what is the is there another option where we inquire about this Jinx Gotifer, and so I just need a little bit of detail about what that means.
Our discussion was kind of to try and get them involved in helping us locate the guy.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because again, if they're Scotlanders, if this is some kind of folk tale, I would hope that maybe if Holtz hasn't heard it, maybe Holtz's father has. And it's tasking them with, can you track this guy down?
I'm sorry, Lisa in chat, Jinx, the hero of Canton, and it's totally appropriate.
The man they call Jinx.
Listen, he's not the hero we need, but he's the hero we deserve.
Hey.
To the rich and he gave to the poor.
I'm gonna actually write a full-on biography of this man. He deserves it.
This would be perfect, and that's why, again, I think that it's a second progress clock, so we can establish a little bit more outside of the game proper and establish some of the narrative. But so when you engage him, there isn't really an action roll that I think is appropriate here. So I think this is, again, one of those situations where we're going to throw a fortune roll at it.
Okay.
And then we'll, let's talk about justifying some dice to throw into this. I mean, because God forbid that you actually get a crit and you advance the 4 segments of this clock.
Can you imagine? Can I assist in a way? Because I'm there in the room. I'm with him.
Yeah.
And we're both young. Me and the kid, we're both young.
So fortune roll. You get your initial die for luck. You get 1 assist for Sling. Is there any other thing that you think applies here? Is there any other trait or circumstance that makes sense that would give you an additional die?
Only by leveraging Grin's history and his backstory and having served in the military. That's all I can think of. But then that's the reason he knows the name in the first place.
Is Jinx somebody in his past that
I don't think they would have ever crossed paths. It was literally it was a tale that originated like a decade ago, or maybe 15 years ago. Go on, Tren.
Well, I was going to say, Johnny, earlier you said that, somebody, a Skullender who survived the Unity War would be,
Big
not
news.
a commonplace thing. So that you have two people.
Well, Grin is an example of that. So
I know that's exactly what I mean. So it is entirely possible they would have heard of each other. If there are not that many of them, then they may not have met, but they know of one another.
that's a good possibility.
That is a good-looking hat. That's a
It's
great-looking
a
hat.
good hat.
That is a cunning hat. You look pretty cunning in that.
I was about to say, pretty cunning, don't you think? I feel like a man who could wear this hat, he has no fear.
Oh my god, I love that so much. Oh god. All right. So that means that's 3 die right there.
Can I
God, I'm
influence
afraid
it
of
further
crits.
by...
Could you push yourself? You could push yourself. Have you got any
You
strength?
can totally
can
push
I-
yourself.
Oh, but
Do
what
you
if
have
I
s-
did a devil's? What if I did a devil's bargain?
Ooh. Ooh.
I'll get in on this. Oh,
Ooh.
okay. There.
All right. If you did a devil's bargain, the consequence, regardless of success or failure, would be that Sky would become aware of who told to the lost.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it would come through the Rook network that Sling was it wouldn't even be a Taikarosi woman. It would be someone identified looking like Sling, because Taikarosi's marks or affectation, not their affectations, their physical appearance is quite unique among Dosqual's citizens, because there are so few of them in Dosqual. So that would be the devil's bargain. I'm going to let you two discuss that real quick.
Sorry, Sling.
I mean,
Joff would not do that to Louise, but would Grin.
would
do that
Grin,
to Sling.
would Grin, would Grin do it to me?
Grin wants out of the contract. Sling getting out of the contract. Hey, he likes the kid. He's helped the kid, but really? And it would be a distraction. Oh.
It sounds like you're convincing yourself into doing it.
I know.
It's so horrible. It's so horrible.
But you
though.
would also know
But look
that
at Speedy's
if I
face.
get thrown
He's
under the bus,
certainly
I know
hoping
that
that
you're
this
involved.
happens, because he really wants Sky to know. And I agree with that. I mean, so the circumstances here, this is one of those things where the devil's bargain in this particular case is it's clear to me as the person, kind of setting up the story here, because this introduces a very significant complication to everything that you guys are working towards so far. Right? And that's the kind of thing a devil's bargain is. It's not life or death all the time, but it definitely is something that can directly fall into the path of you succeeding, right? And so the game is all about failure, and this is a failure being introduced so that you guys tell a more compelling story.
Would Grin, though, would he risk having Sling immediately rat him out as soon as she's found out?
That's true. That's really true.
Wait a minute, say that again?
Would Grin risk, as soon as Sling gets found out, her ratting him out and being like, oh, well, guess who else was involved? That guy.
Grin could basically, it's Sling versus Grin.
Yeah, I mean, that's a circumstance where
I have a gun.
Don't bring a gun to a knife fight. I don't want to betray Sling, but does Grin want to betray Sling?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a matter of Grin wanting to betray Sling. I mean, so when
Grin doesn't know. Grin doesn't know what the devil's bargain is. Joff knows what the devil's bargain is.
Exactly. So it's like, when a character takes a devil's bargain, when they declare that they're taking it, it's like, I make a deal with the devil, or it's just like, it's a colloquialism. It's a phrase that's said, in conversation, and it's not necessarily something that's taken seriously, but the devils, the demons, the evil that is in the world is listening, right? And that's how it affects. That's the tipping of the scales. That's the balancing out, essentially. And in this particular case, it's Joff, the player, knows what the consequence is. Brynn, the character, does not.
All right, so player to player, Louise, what's good for the story?
Ooh.
Oh man.
You're not Louise.
Dangerly,
Yeah.
AK Lisa donated $3 and says no debt and devil's bargain. She really wants this to happen without Sky finding out.
Lily, I love you.
She's so mad at Sky.
Lily!
I actually love you.
Lisa.
Lisa, you are my favorite person in the entire world. I love you.
Oh my god.
With all of my heart, Lisa. Lisa, with all of my heart. With all of my shirt
Well-
that says 6 and 20 and all of my heart, Lisa.
Was that one of the ones that we put on
Let me double check.
because
It was. I remember seeing it.
Because if so, yeah.
I've seen it.
So let's look at the donations, right? I want to look at those because
Yeah, that's correct. In which case,
a bar. Oh, okay.
Without
Right.
incurring
All
the
right.
cost.
I remember writing that for Mike's show. Holy shit. Yeah.
So, as a
Well-
double player warning, what does this mean for the bargains that you have already got with Sky? About
Nothing.
betraying him? Is there nothing?
it
repercussions?
won't undo any devil's bargain that was already made.
No.
It's just for a new, exactly one roll.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. It's
So,
for exactly this role.
so let me get my head around this. The Lisa's $3 donation adds another dice to the devil's bargain and removes the cost.
Yes. So for her donation, you get a free devil's bargain, essentially.
That's what I'm gonna do.
All right. So that's 46.
I've never had
46.
so many near
Now
heart
then.
attacks in
Now
one
they're
3-hour
gonna come up all
period.
ones.
All one.
They're going to come up all ones because I have the Wheaton curse. So here we go.
I don't want to. I'm not going to look. Okay, I'm not going to look.
Wait, what?
Okay, you'll know.
What?
I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
46 incoming.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yes.
This is where if you were
I'm looking.
Mr. you were Mr. Unmade Gaming, you would literally stand up and scream, "Suck it!" and make me go like, "Oh, okay.
Jinx lives.
Jinx. Oh, hero.
Okay.
Sorry, Johnny.
So you have created.
Sorry, Speedy.
No, you have successfully created a linked project or linked progress clock. It's a 4-segment clock. You engage Holtz to make inquiries with his father because he's never heard of Jinx Gotifer, to make arrangements to have a conversation with him, or to find out more information about Jinx Gotifer. What ends up happening is you find out that he actually is in Doskval. He has been here for over a year, and that he is a part of the Skovlander Underground.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
He is under an assumed name, and he's essentially hiding because he is still wanted by the Imperial government
Okay.
for breaking contract. At least that is the description, that is the terms with which they describe it, for breaking contract. You know from your experience working in the Unity War, fighting in the Unity War, that the Imperial Army was giving out ghost contracts to fulfill during the, for Skovlander fighters to join the Imperial Army and fight for them. Holtz comes back and says that his father, Cortland, can broker a meeting for you, and you can talk to him directly.
And this involves us going down into the underground.
Well, this involves you meeting at an undisclosed location where you can have a conversation with Jinx Gotifer.
You guys meet him at the Vale. I hear it's a very nice place.
Let's meet him at Donovan's. Let's just bring him over.
Or the green dragon is still always available.
Let's just invite Sky and we'll talk to him right in front of him.
This is
Funnily enough,
sometimes you just
Louise,
have to talk out your problems like adults, okay?
I was going to say,
Tell
funnily
Sky.
enough, Louise, Grin is almost ready to go sit down and talk to Sky.
So,
That's free time.
well, okay. So here's the thing about this. This is a linked progress clock, right? We've advanced it 3 segments because you rolled a goddamn 6, and I was expecting it to last a long time. So, because it's a long-term progress, the next time that you can advance this will be in downtime in order to have that meeting. So what will happen is, because the minimum is that you can advance in a downtime act or a downtime long-term project is 1 segment, the next time you guys go into downtime, you can complete this project and have that meeting with Jinx Godoffer.
Or,
Yay,
and I
choosy.
shouldn't say this. I should not be saying this, but you could push yourself to take an additional downtime action.
I think between me
I fucking
and
hate you,
Louise,
Steve. You go to fucking hell.
I hate
Goddamn,
you.
I am
This
so not
I'm
prepared for this.
destroying myself right now.
You're absolutely right, but you know what? I'm not prepared. Damn it! I need. Anyways, what would you like to do, Brynn?
We've been doing this for what, 2 hours, 40 minutes? I can't. I just
I'm
can't.
not sure that we're prepared.
Well, so
either.
okay, no. So this is actually a legitimate. That's a legitimate concern because it's now 7:40 on the West Coast. It's 10:40 on the East Coast. We could start this, but we wouldn't finish it.
No.
And I think, given the circumstances, this probably is something we want to take a little bit of time with.
I'm not
because you
gonna
guys
push
have been
myself.
absolutely wonderful making Speedy uncomfortable. He's squirming in his chair.
I feel like as well, Sling and Grin, like they've done a lot in this one day with this. They're going to need time to plan what their next move is.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure Sky realizes that he's basically forced Grin and Sling to be allies by getting them in this very one-sided contract.
Yeah, and
now we're best
by
friends.
not specifying terms of the contract very well at all, to the point where you can just go do that.
So what's interesting is my understanding of Grin and Sling's belief around the contract. They still have not broken anything in their mind that they understand as the terms of the contract. Now they've come very close. The interesting thing about this particular line that Grin and Sling are going down with Grin's downtime action related to Jinx Godoffer is that he's not looking. The intent is not necessarily to go into a breach of contract. He's trying to understand the contracts right now.
Yeah, I want to. Grin is weighing his options.
Right.
Honestly,
so this might come to something where it's not necessarily against Speedy, or sorry, not against Sky. It's something that is necessarily maybe a conversation starter from starting a new conversation about the contract.
Yeah.
So
honestly,
I'm not seeing this as
the entire. Sorry, Johnny. I can see the
go ahead,
entire
go ahead.
crew. I can see the entire crew sitting down and having a come to Jesus meeting and basically saying to Sky, "Let's talk contracts."
I'm sitting pretty.
Know. Yeah, you are sitting pretty. But I'd like you at the table because you're a wordsmith. I don't know. That's
another element is if you bring Ari in and he betrays Ari, or betrays you guys, he's in turn betraying Ari, which means he would be breaking his contract.
Wait, what?
Oh, look at Speedy's face.
Wait. If
we bring Ari in...
Oh, this is too much math. Okay, if we bring Ari in to a Jesus discussion with Sky about the contract, and then Sky betrays us at the Jesus table, that's
the same as betraying Ari.
And
which breaks contract.
So what would Sky betraying us at Jesus table How would he betray us at the table?
We're basically
know.
becoming the cast of Friends, where if one gets promoted, everybody gets promoted. You know.
This ends with 4 dead bodies and Hocus getting up and walking away.
Yeah. He's just like, well, I've got a letter to deliver, so bye.
Hocus probably wouldn't even be at the table. He would be
Well-
off delivering messages somewhere. But now,
This is all hypothetical. I feel like I should have typed this in secret rather than
we
let
need
Speedy hear
contracts?
this.
Well,
We need a
Speedy's not
transcriber.
listening.
We need a transcriber.
What? I'm just like so lost. You guys do what you want.
Okay, I take my gun, I shoot Sky. I end this all right now.
If
So
each of these contracts count as individual things, if he if he breaches both Grin and you, what is your name?
Hello.
Sling.
Sling. Their contract, does that count as 3 points of harm for this one and 3 points of harm for this one?
Well, hold on a second. This again goes back into the letter of the law
Right.
versus the spirit of the law or the intent of the law. What I just heard Ari say is she believes that if he hurts or either of them or causes them harm, she believes that is breach of her contract. Now I need to go back and watch the specifics of that again, so I understand, so that when it comes up, we can resolve it appropriately, and I can make a judgment call if it needs to happen. But my understanding is that Sky believes that wouldn't be a breach of contract.
But that's not my question.
Okay, what is your question?
Is you've got 3 contracts that are.
Yep,
Okay. Let's say he breaks 2 of them.
he's cursed.
Oh.
Is that 3 points of harm for one of them and 3 points of harm for the other one? Because if that's 6 points of harm, is he not dead at that point?
Oh.
Even if he's at full health, 6 points of harm is.
Joe's contract is a double-edged sword.
Oh.
That's an incredibly uncomfortable situation that I did not even think that we would have to make any type of judgment call on. And now I'm going to have to think about that.
You're welcome.
You know, I
These
just
are
want
all
to say, you guys,
hypotheticals.
you guys all make way too much work for me. No,
you,
but see,
you would be bored without us, Johnny.
you're absolutely right. I would be bored. Day job sucks. Now, given all of that, going back to the intent versus the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, if we get to that point, I am more than happy to make a judgment, but I want you guys, because we're having this conversation and it sounds like it's going to come to a head a little bit. I want you guys all thinking about this, just even if it's in the back of your head, and not from a, oh my God, from a character perspective, but think about everybody's involvement in this, because I have a feeling that there's not going to be any easy way to solve this, and we're really going to have to come together if there's a Reservoir Dogs moment where Sky's pointing a gun at Grin and Ari's pointing a gun at Sky and Sling is pointing a gun at Sky and Hocus is going like this, standing in the background pulling the Steve Buscemi moment. It's just like there's going to be a situation where our guns are drawn, everybody's kind of looking around, and we're going to need to have okay, how are we going to resolve this? How do we get out of this so that everybody survives, but it's still a screwed up situation? So I'm just putting that out there, and all that said and done. Now, wonderful, you guys all had so that's going to happen in the next downtime action for Grin. When he chooses to advance that clock. Awesome, great. That's your second downtime action. Done. Speedy, are you sure that you were happy about making that a score?
Well,
Given everything that's happened today?
Everything that's happened in downtime action, I mean,
Exactly. Yeah. So,
I know.
so
Listen,
this was
guys, come on. We're supposed to have 2 sessions in a row so we can mess with the Shroud. That was the plan.
I didn't
Right,
set the
they're doing a-
contracts.
They're doing a really good job of like breaking us in between, like in our own group.
I like Photog's thing. It's like 2 crews and 1 kills itself. I'm like,
We didn't kill ourselves. We just stopped Sky. That doesn't mean killed. It just means not under his control.
Ari shot the
anymore.
first. She did the first. She drew first blood. She caused all the problems. Yes, that's right. You should be leaning your head down and shaved.
I did nothing.
Sky had a plan.
We
Ari-
fucked that.
Ari
plan.
introduced that RNG element to it.
It's more fun this way.
It really is.
Contact with the past.
Okay, so downtime is done, guys. We've
Welcome
got
to downtime
maybe.
in the episode.
Well, this is the second. This is the second time you guys have done downtime, and it's been like amazing. Like there's been so much going on so far, and we've got about 5 minutes before we really need to kind of to wrap the session so that we can do XP and all that stuff. So I think this is another opportunity to do a real quick in either investigation or more exploration. I know Speedy had some inquiries that he wanted to make around the person that was kind of wandering around and might have popped into the veil while he was doing his investigation thing there. So this is, I mean, there's a couple more minutes where we can explore one other element of this that leads up to the next score or leads to a different score. So does the table want to take any particular action or want to go in any particular direction?
So I guess we should probably decide what our next score is going to be, right?
Well, if we wanted to continue to pursue destroying the Foghounds, though they're now a couple months old, we still do have a wealth of papers of information.
So arguably downtime. Sorry, the amount of time has only been at most 3 weeks.
Okay.
So just as an FYI.
Then there might be a lot of those notes. If it was me and I had a lot of papers stolen, I would change a lot of my plans immediately. But the Foghounds have so far proven to be a little bit,
and they're desperate.
lackluster.
That's what I was
And
going to say.
they're desperate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
So-
as well, there is the threat of Nix's group who are looking into you, Sky.
Yeah. Out of character, I would like to deal with them,
Okay.
but we were also just given a job by the
Oh, you were, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Which
use
we
my
could
I
do.
wasn't here card.
which the thing that we were doing for the Bluecoats, it involved the 6 Towers base being broken into. Was that done by them? Was that done by the Shroud? Out of character?
Out of character, no, it was not done by the Shroud. However, Orange Crush was definitely involved.
Okay, got it.
Shall we do
and
what we've
the-
been asked?
The character
Okay.
or the person that you of interest that you have been asked to look into was Mike's character in the one shot.
Oh.
And the things that they've been pursuing as the Shroud, those books. Yeah, Nicholas Penderin still has one of them.
So the Shroud is pursuing the books too.
Right, but the
they're
Shroud,
pursuing them Mike is pursuing the books from his old character right now.
well, so he doesn't know. So OC hasn't figured out that Nicholas Penderin, and I shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this, and they're probably listening anyway. So OC hasn't figured out that Nicholas Penderin has more material from that heist. She only took the one book
that is gonna mess with Mike. I can't wait.
Mhm. And it's exactly what's going on here.
All right, so
And they're aware, as if you guys saw the beginning of the episode last night, the Rook Network brought him information that the six tower bluecoats are looking into they're investigating the break-in.
Was this the point where Lisa started getting super excited and you were like, you don't know that. You
Yes.
don't know that.
Yes, that is exactly what so player knowledge versus character knowledge is incredibly important here.
Mhm.
Right.
we're talking a little bit about the way that the plot has been inching towards each other. That the two crews have been inching towards each other for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
their knowledge aside,
I think our next score will be the one that we were just given. The Bluecoats seem very stern about that. I don't know what other score we would really do other than I mean, like, potentially investigating Nyx. I could try and put together a score of investigating what the Lost are doing, but I feel like,
why would you want to? Honestly, God, that's old news. That's...
All right.
we don't live in the
Grin,
past here.
We've got a job. There's been some people asking around about Donovans who think that there's been some sort of inhumane practices going on with the management, and well, we can't really have that now. You know that's not true.
Oh, of course not, sir.
No, I think
Only
we'll...
the best at Donovan's. Right?
Would you like some lure?
Yes, please, yes.
Oh God, this massive PvP session is inevitable. I
don't know how the hell we would have 10 people on, from all around the table. It'd be ridiculous. Anyways, go on.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do about this, man. I really wish I could just have a talk with you guys and be like, hey, maybe we could just not. I'll just get rid of the contracts. It's fine. You don't have to do anything. Just don't. It's fine. No.
Well, that's actually why Grin is considering sitting down with Sky and mano a mano saying, "I want out the contract."
That's how adults deal with their problems. Going off to some union, that's what children do.
Sling is not an adult, it's fine.
It is, it's like a union strike going on.
Yeah, if only there wasn't this contract in the first place, maybe things would have worked out a little bit differently.
Why can't we all just get along?
I
mean, because you're playing Sky.
And Johnny, there is one other element from last night's game that could potentially tangentially come into play if Johnny wanted it to, and that was the point during the conversation where you mentioned that the groups that move the Leviathan blood tend to pay rather substantial amounts for muscle to protect their shipments and whatnot, and it strikes me that
I don't know what you're talking about.
That at some point, word of, hey, there's this shipment that needs some muscle, Grin. Are you looking for some extra coin? And when he finds out that it's something for the Foghounds,
that's, honestly, as a GM, sure, that's totally possible. Hey, Hocus. So one of those bits of information that you heard is just that.
Oh.
Imagine that. Players giving themselves scores. Imagine that.
That's
only in Blades in the Dark.
Crazy talk.
And man, you know what? There's like a whole other 3 hours before the next Shroud show.
That's true.
We're gonna have to talk.
Oh.
And by the time we get to that 3 hours, Sky will have already decided, okay, this is the score that we're doing. And then Hocus is going to walk in. Oh, by the way, and he's going to go, fuck.
Well, no. So, like I said, guys, we're going, it sounds like we're going a little bit over, but we're at the end of this. However, you're in free play. So Hocus wanders right in the door, reports to Sky. What does he say to Sky?
Well, who's here right now? Is this while the others are gone, except for Ari? Has Sling ever come back?
I'm just gone forever.
Because
well,
I imagine
those
the second
are all.
Sling comes back, I'm gonna have something to say.
those are all
Is
things.
it
I mean,
hello and you've done a good job?
Maybe.
You get a raise.
You don't know. You haven't come back yet. I'll pay you more lure. Just stop running off. God.
I missed you.
You
I
learn.
missed you.
I miss you, man.
This could be
I
just
missed
like
you.
the
Have
last
this
time.
sure.
Just like the last time that Sky started to tear in his sling for something, and Hocus comes in. It's like, wait, I have information. And he's like, come back to this.
Oh, can we
And
actually
appreciate
do that
that.
again? I'd love that.
And Sling walks in the door. Again, guys, it's entirely up to you. How do you want to do these exchanges? I think that the score that I gave you guys from last week, you now understand the meta level, understand what's going on, the player level knowledge, where I'm tying in the stories together. What Trendane just said is absolutely amazing because I thought about it, but I wasn't really going to suggest it because I didn't want to actively make it more difficult for the Shroud. However, the fact that Trend recommends, brings it up and says, hey, well, this happened last night. And I'd be like, I just plant the seed. You guys, make them grow. So it's entirely up to you guys how you want to resolve this. Whether you want to, whether you want to go after that particular score, whether you want to take that score away from them. Again, you have an entirely another 3 hours worth of stuff.
God.
So your choice.
Oh. I just hope we don't get to the next episode and spend the first 2 hours in free play of me dealing with Sling coming back.
I mean, I can come back now. I'm happy to come back now.
Hi, Sling.
Well, let's do it now then.
All right, yeah. I'll just walk in the front door.
Sling. There you
All
are.
right, boss.
It's been like a week. Where have you been?
Oh, well, keeping my eye out on things, sir. See, when I first left, a couple of these blue coat lads came knocking about. Thought, oh, here we go, might be a bit of trouble. So I hid about, had a look, watched them, followed them back to the blue coat place, had a little chat. They were all having a little lovely go. Some of them played some cards. One of them lost. It was really embarrassing. Then I followed them around again. Then some other bloke, he came by.
You followed these blue coats around? Did you learn anything?
Well, one of them was real bad with cards, so like honestly, I don't even know why I even tried. And then if you let me finish, the other guy, he came by, went back down to that inn that you're all so fond of, and he went in there. I actually saw some of you around, but didn't want to reveal myself, didn't want to mess anything up. So had a bit of a look around, seemed he was chatting to you, and I thought, oh, that's crazy. And then off he went. You didn't look too happy, so I thought, oh, maybe this isn't too good. Followed him back again. He joined up with some mates of his, and then off he went.
All right. Anything useful there? Did you saw him meet up with some mates? Were they also blue coats?
Would I, Johnny, if I said, because I did say that Sling was like hanging about, keeping an eye on them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Would I have seen anything? I said it to him in Discord.
Okay, so
sir.
just bit of background on all everything that's good. So Sling, yes, Louise did, and I had a quick conversation about what would happen just in case it came up last week, and it didn't come up last week. But she did say that she would be keeping an eye and kind of paying attention to what was going on to the crew. So this is total canon. So go with it. Go with it.
So I just say whatever I saw. There was this massive goat and it was really cool, and I watched that for a bit, so I almost got a little bit distracted. But then I thought, oh, you know what, I got to do best by my boss, so I thought, oh, I'll go back to that blue coat, sir. And off I went, and I followed him around, and he was chatting to some blokes, and Louise has actually forgotten what happened in the last episode, so I'm trying to remember whilst I'm talking. And so see, this coat, sir, it was absolutely crazy. And I followed him back to the blue coat place, and that guy was still playing cards, and he still wasn't very good. And I thought, oh, maybe his friend should probably give him a bit of training, and I still can't remember, so I'm going to need somebody to remind me.
And so Hocus kind of walks in at this point, somewhere in the midst of all of this, and is.
Wait, no, I haven't finished.
I know, but he's waiting for a pause, and there isn't one. So
I want to give the information, but I don't remember what the information is.
Yeah, Ari is just sitting like really, really amused at this play-by-play right now, just kind of smirking in the corner.
What was the task we were given? It was to look into something with the somebody of the what?
The thing with the thing and the thing.
Yeah.
The blue coats of six towers who had their base broken into.
Yes.
Right. That one. Okay.
What I thought you were
Cool.
talking about.
That's what I was trying to say. You know. I don't know if you got any of what I was throwing down, but I was definitely trying to say that. So Sling will relay that she saw, after they walked off, she saw them meeting up with another group of bluecoats who were looking into the situation, but from a different perspective, and perhaps asking different people.
Did you get any information on who they were looking into for it?
I'm sensing yes. I'm sensing definitely.
Because there's also the fact that these were bluecoats from Six Towers, and they were not in Six Towers when this meeting was taking place.
Yes. But who is the question?
So so the meeting was about the meeting with the captain in the Green Dragon was about Nicholas Pendrin. What you overheard during that conversation between the two groups of bluecoats when they came together was you heard another name that you had briefly heard mentioned previously, but you weren't quite sure of the context until you remembered Ari having mentioned her name at one point, and that would be Orusi, or Orange Crush. That separate group of bluecoats is looking into the whereabouts of Orange Crush, and you see you see that
I relay that information.
Yes.
Well, okay. I mean, we already knew that Orange Crush was involved because they told us.
Yes, but she doesn't know that you know that.
Okay. Well.
Because she was trailing from afar.
Right. Well.
And okay, and that
I appreciate your vigilance there, Sling.
Absolutely.
I got your back, sir.
We
Sorry. That comment.
totally a ginger boy band.
Boy band.
That's what Orange Crush is. Yes, confirmed. We're gonna write that into the story coming up soon.
It'd be like calling them Tanga Fanta, like Tango Fanta Orange Crush, you know, the all ginger boy band.
It's the
Well,
Fantas
so there
is the
is-
name of the group, right?
So Orange Crush is something separate, or she is somebody separate from the Fantas, who are a known group, or a known crew running around Dosqual, who are courtesan assassins. I'm not joking.
Please tell me there's a tango group as well. Please tell me there's a tango as well.
I guess there's a tango group now.
But they are professional dancers.
Is there a Dr. Pepper who's just trying to help people? He's just a healer.
He's like one of those doctors who only works with like the plague doctor masks on. You know?
But he's not a real
okay.
doctor, so he's
All
Mr.
of that-
Dr. Pepper.
All of that is canon. All of that is canon now.
Whenever
Remember,
anyone
Wiki.
gets slightly injured, they have to go and see Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
I want
Right.
to see you drop
No,
that
Doc-
in the shroud and like they just be like, oh, so you get hit in the leg. Okay, well, not to worry because around the corner comes Dr.
Dr. Pepper, dressed in his plague mask.
There's a fanfare.
Suck
I mean,
Doc
who
P.
really says that he has to be a doctor of medicine? He could be a doctor of demonology. Maybe they've
Yes.
already encountered him.
I mean,
It's
Dr.
a
Pepper, what's the
necromancer.
worst that could happen? You know? He's a necromancer.
Thank you, Lisa. I was waiting for someone to bring Mr. Pibb into this. Thank you very much. He's
Mr.
the
Pibb is
accountant.
Dr. Pepper and Mr. Pibb is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. there's a demon possessing him. He's got a passenger.
We've done so much world building today, and this is my favorite bit of the world building.
Hashtag not sponsored, by the way, guys. Hashtag
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sponsored.
Hashtag
We're gonna be
could
sponsored by
be.
so many people. Those are all
Dr.
different
Pepper.
companies.
Like,
Pepper and Mr. Pibb.
Dr. Pepper, are you listening? Hit us up on 6 and 20 on Twitter. We're open.
Dr. Pepper isn't here right now. I'm Mr. Pibb.
Oh god.
Anyway.
Please. Okay.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Mr. Pibb
Where
sounds
were
like
we?
a debt collector.
Goats?
Mr. Pibb does sound like a debt collector of some sort, like a loan shark,
Yeah.
an underground loan
my
shark.
God.
Jesus Christ.
Right,
Ah,
Mr.
see, I
Mr.
told you.
Just gag it
So,
for the host.
we were,
Anyway,
we
so
were about
Sling
to-
will relay
Sling.
that yeah, Orange Crush was being looked into, and you know what, sir? I mean, I could keep looking into it, I guess.
Oh, one of the piece of information, given the fact that
I also
that's
have
something
more.
that they already knew that that she has been sighted moving in and out of Six Towers with a companion.
And it's been proper interesting, right, sir? So much drama going on. Guess what? She's been sighted popping in and out of Six Towers with someone else.
What did this someone
any
else
idea
look
what
like?
that man looks like?
Oh,
It was a woman.
It was a woman.
Any
That's
idea what
right.
she
What'd
looks
she
like?
look
A
like?
name?
Well, she looks like a woman, sir, as opposed to a
looks like-
man, as your
She
first
looks like a
guess.
courtesan. She dresses as a courtesan.
She dresses as the courtesan, sir.
Ari, you got any ideas?
Well, the one person I thought it could be, no, she was tossed out a long time ago. OC wouldn't still be in touch with her. It would go against her rules.
What's the name?
Nye. It couldn't have been Nye. She tossed Nye out a long time ago.
Well, tell you what, if there is any possible chance, I've got the name now. I could keep looking into it.
That'd
Fine
be
Nye.
Mighty helpful. What's
That's
what's
what
the
I'm
deal
here
with
for,
Nye?
sir. I'm an helpful. Yeah, who is she? If I'm going to be looking into it, I'm going to need a bit more to go off than just a name.
Nye and I didn't exactly get along, call it a friendly rivalry, if you will. But the last I'd heard, things didn't exactly go well for Nye. In fact,
so?
I think they may have taken a bit of a bitter end in the same direction that I had. So, no, it can't be her. It can't be. It goes against OC's rules. OC sticks to rules.
All right.
People
Well.
change. I mean, I don't know her myself.
Could be any other courtesan, I suppose, but if that's the name you think of,
Question.
Hocus.
No, Trent.
Tren.
Now, while Ari was having her discussion with Clav, I mean, Nye was very specifically mentioned in that, so she knows that Nye is still around.
That's true. And still working in one of the establishments that OC
Exactly.
owns.
Now, whether
And still,
Ari is going to communicate that fact is a different thing, but I just want to bring that.
No, you're right. You're right. But this is still kind of shocking to Ari, I guess. The idea that Nye is still around, because the last she'd heard, she had been kicked out.
Okay.
And at least from what she had seen, Nye was nowhere to be found visually.
Interesting distinction.
Okay. Your Sling's just kind of standing there like, okay.
Odd indeed. I was teaching Aldo too, yes. Crap. Clap. All right, well, it's worth another thing looking into, I suppose. We were already about to... we were considering looking into OC as part of our investigation on what's going on with these stolen tomes. Something to consider for certain. But, well, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want,
that's just about
I
the
could
only
always.
lead we have for that mission, isn't it? We know the name Nicholas Penderton, and we know OC is involved somehow, and now
Yes.
I.
Well, if you don't feel like working on that particular avenue, or if it's not something you wish to follow up on. While I was going to specifically reference this to Grin, in case you wanted to make any extra coin, I did hear some mumblings that there is a shipment of Leviathan blood coming in, that they are looking for extra muscle to hire on to protect said shipment as it gets to where it's supposed to go. And the part that might be of interest to you, Sky, is that it's the Foghounds who are looking to move it. And they are desperate to get this, as much muscle as they can to protect this shipment.
Now that is mighty interesting.
Grin is literally doing this.
All right, well, I mean, Grin's the muscle, but do we really want to send him off on his own?
Oh, we could all go. I can hook us all up with decent outfits. You'd look good, Hocus. You'd look really good in the leathers.
No.
I've got a gun.
I've always liked playing dress up.
To
I've
prove
still
her
got a
point, she
Doc
will
Workers uniform.
sling her gun.
I have a tremendous amount of work to do. I couldn't possibly go. I just
Oh,
wanted to
Hocus.
say that.
Oh, Hocus, I think
Oh,
you'd look quite
Hocus.
handsome in some leathers.
I have work to do.
This is work. And she starts like trying to like straighten up his collar and stuff like that.
No, this
If
is
we-
different
if-
work. I have a job that I have to do.
It's true. Hocus is with the couriers, and we have to respect that. It's part of our deal.
Hmm.
If we intercepted or somehow otherwise redirected the shipment of Leviathan blood, it would destroy the Foghounds.
Well,
It would single-handedly destroy them.
While that is very likely, where are you going to redirect it to? How many facilities are there that process things into electroplasm?
Well, it doesn't much matter. We don't need to redirect it to them directly. Send it off to some other interested buyer, and they'll ship it off to be processed themselves. Actually, well, where's the shipment headed to, and where's it coming from?
I believe it's going to, if I remember right, it was Char Hollow, is it not?
Yes.
It's going to Char Hollow, which is where most of the Leviathan blood products get processed. Everything goes there.
Well, I mean,
So
if
there
we
is no
can-
redirecting. You could acquire it.
Sorry, Coleridge, but yes.
Coleridge, thank you. Yes. But it's not like the last little bit that we did on the docks. This is far more involved. You don't just move Leviathan parts through the city. You can't just throw a cloak over it and pray that no one sees it.
What if we commandeered the Foghound? What if we took their boat?
The ship.
Yeah.
that's a big boat with crew bigger than ours.
You'd be better. You would probably have an easier time sinking it.
Oh, Hocus. Oh, Hocus.
I could shoot it,
Oh,
sir.
Hocus.
That would be cleaner. We destroy the Foghound. Sky, we destroy the Foghound.
Harry, we destroy the Foghound.
Sling.
Destroy the boat and the hounds follow.
Yeah,
Let them drown.
they'd never recover from that. And then who's there to take over their business?
Well, we've got a certain list of shipments coming in.
Yeah, we do.
And that's where we're gonna be ending the episode for tonight.
Next week,
Bam.
Phantom.
That idea occurred to me last night when, in the course of one of the
course,
discussions,
it would have been
somebody
nice
was like,
if we had
"The
thought of
fog out."
this.
I'm like, what if we got rid of the boat?
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It would have been nice if we had thought of this sooner, so I could have used a downtime action to acquire some explosives.
Ooh.
I have an explosive personality, if that counts.
Where's the hall?
Walk onto the boat and be like, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, boom. Smoke bomb.
It's like a magician. It's just, they disappear.
And they're all just so confused, and then we just
They're like,
ransack.
wow!
It's magic. It
So what we
does
need is
exist again.
we need a smaller boat just covered in explosives, and we just aim it at the big boat.
Or, hear me out, we get a shark, we call it Jaws, and we throw it at it.
No, its name would be Bruce.
And
Let's
then
be
they're gonna
clear.
need-
It would be
they're
called
gonna-
Bruce.
They're going to need a bigger boat they can't get, and they all die.
We need a bigger boat.
So we get the bigger boat and the shark, and then we win.
And then what has to happen is that Grin, who was a soldier and is no longer anymore, has to have his tattoo removed so that when he's talking about it, somebody says, "No, wait, let me guess, mother." And it's perfect. It writes
And it also, it turns out,
No. I'm sorry.
water washes the contract away. Oh my God, go to the sea, we win.
If anybody is doing that scene and playing Robert Shaw, I'm sorry, Trend, you are doing it. I want to hear you give that dialogue.
I don't.
That
like
is
it,
my
but
favorite scene in that movie, and I need Trend to do it. I love you, Joff, but he's got to do it, man. So, guys, before we jump into XP and finish this up real quick, Speedy, I want to point something out to you because you just said, I wish I had done a downtime action. Take a look in the rules at the teamwork section of the score, and specifically something called setup.
Okay.
And think about that in the context of either the free play actions or in the actual score itself.
Okay, got it.
Okay, cool.
Save that.
All right, so let's go around the table and do XP, guys. So why don't we start with Speedy?
All right, so I didn't roll any desperate actions. Address the challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I'd say I probably did that. What were the things that I did?
Let's see. So the first one is you
Redirected.
with the Rook network. You realize that there's a problem, and then you set up something in respect to the circumstances related to whether you were going to be exposed or not as the quote unquote merchant. So that was definitely calculation to me. I don't remember what your second downtime action was. Was that training? Is that right?
My second downtime action was training. Yeah.
Okay. So I think in this particular case, you only did one thing that addressed the challenge with calculation or conspiracy.
Sure.
Express your beliefs drives heritage or background.
Probably not really. I'm trying to think of anything, but the others certainly expressed it, but I didn't really do anything
Right.
involving it.
Okay. Well, yeah,
actually,
okay.
I guess if you count when we were making our crew advancement stuff, when we were adding a security function so that we could hide my sister, that might come into play. I don't know if that counts.
I was actually going to make that suggestion because that totally. I mean, even though that necessarily benefits you narratively, that's definitely something that your character did to encourage your background or your heritage. So absolutely. So there's a XP point there, and then I don't think you really struggled with your vices or your traumas of any kind.
No.
All right, so that sounds to me like 2 XP.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Sweet. All right, let's go with Sling next.
Hello. Didn't have a desperate action. Tracking of violence, I'd say maybe there's a chance with either the finding of our good friend Jinx or with the looking into what the blue coats were doing and then seeing Orange Crush and then her and her friend and then all that nonsense.
I'm going to say that the blue coats and that whole story and that whole narrative that you established definitely falls into the whole tracking thing.
Sweet.
I'd say both. Yeah.
You think so?
Yay.
Yeah, I'd say too. I mean, she
yay.
wasn't even here last week, so like at the very least.
Yeah,
that would
absolutely.
cover
Okay, so
the
yeah,
one from
definitely.
last week
Let's
would
call
cover
that 2
last week.
XP right there.
2, cool. And then release dry to the background definitely with the entire like shebang. Let's stop the contracts land time that we have.
Well, not only that,
And
but you
look
also
into the
then
past.
explored your other
That's
downtime
another
project
2.
or so there's 2 XP there as well.
Question: I'm now full on my playbook advancement,
Yeah, I
and I
had
have
that
an extra, and I have an extra 2 to go with
So-
next, and I don't know what that means.
Okay, so anything that's not directly related to desperate actions. So desperate actions are tied very specifically to attributes that the action is taken under. So if you did a desperate action, you would get 1 XP for that. If you did multiple desperate actions for under that same, you would get 2 XP to fall under that attributes chit. If you don't, and you get essentially generic XP from everything else, you can throw them in the playbook advancement, or you can throw them in any of the attributes, the insight.
Like my playbook advancement is full.
Right. So what happens here is you hold on to that 2 XP if you want, and then what you would do is your playbook advancement, which would give you a new special ability. So look at the special abilities that are available on your playbook. So you'd find them, either on the special sheet, or if they're in the book somewhere listed under Hunter or Hound. And then you would just choose one of those as your new special ability, and then you would reset that back to 0. And you can throw that XP back into there, or you can throw it into an attribute if you want to. So it's entirely up to you.
Sweet. Okay, so that rounds it up to 2, and then I didn't for once. For the first episode, I don't believe I struggled with issues from my vice.
No, I don't think you did either.
I survived.
So you got 4 XP.
I don't know whether to be proud of you or.
This is the first episode where lore has not messed me up entirely.
Okay, so why don't we jump over to Ari, who had a very similar situation. So you got your playbook advancement is completely full already. So just go ahead and jump into the book and look at the slide. And look at the special abilities that you want to spend that on, and just then clear it and go for that. So
we get to pick one when we fill up the playbook. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Right. And so just to clarify, all the way at the bottom of the special abilities list, there's something called a veteran upgrade. Each time you fill your playbook, you can tick off one of the little pips in the veteran upgrade. And when you complete that, what it means is that you can then take a special ability from any of the other playbooks. So if you are a slide, but you wanted a spider ability like Ghost Contract, you could do that, but you'd have to go through the XP allotments, to get through the upgrade, and then choose from that particular that trait. So.
Okay.
Now, jumping back to Ari this time around, what do you think? She didn't make a desperate action, if I remember correctly.
No.
So, let's see. With
I'd
Ari,
say at most I may have expressed some background, but that's pretty much only a small possibility.
I'd say you did, especially with the ending that they're talking about now. 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's it really that she did today. But then last week she just
she killed it last week. So, but I think that there are 2 different cases where you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. The first one being in the way that you wait a minute. What was your downtime actions? You trained for one of your downtime actions. What was the other one?
Into the void, didn't you?
Yeah.
You engaged the asset.
The asset.
So that to me, I remember. Yeah, that to me seems like one example of beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, and then of course the second one at the end where you were talking about Nye. So I think to me that sounds like 2 XP.
I'd agree.
Okay. All right. So then you'll throw 2 new points wherever you want. Whether you can throw them in your cleared playbook, or you can throw them into an attribute, and that's your call.
Okay.
All right. So next up, let's do Grin.
Okay. No desperate actions. No violence. No coercion.
Yeah.
A little bit more backstory, just via this idea of Jinx Godifer.
Mm-hmm.
And also the interactions with the other Scotlanders.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's worth 2
It's worth
XP.
2. It's two separate. It's
Okay.
2 separate situations. So 2 or more situations would be 2 XP.
And my vice did not come up, so just
Okay.
the 2.
All right. Well, you're looking to see some violence very soon. So
Yeah.
especially if you guys go through with this other score, it's going to be interesting.
Take the boat.
Okay, so that's 2 XP. Awesome. Hocus.
Nothing desperate. Challenge, knowledge, arcane power. I had something, and I just forgot what it was. Well, his knowledge of like, you can't just process Leviathan parts anywhere.
Right.
You have to take them to.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so that's as much about the
Whatever.
actually the arcane element as it is the knowledge element, because as a whisper, you would have a sense where things that have that spectral energy go. So it could be argued either way. So yeah, it's definitely at least a point of XP there.
And the fact that you just can't throw a tarp over it, because if anybody can see into the arcane, that shit's gonna be glowing like a son of a bitch.
Exactly.
Much harder to move because of that. So there's that. Beliefs, drives, heritage, background. His beliefs and drives. I would say that his discussion with the blue coat captain or whatever, saying no, this is part of the service. I'm not going to tell anybody about the things that we have rules at the couriers thing that we have to take these back, and we can't just leave them out there, and we have to be able to inform our customers that no, this person's dead, blah, 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 whatever.
Right, totally.
So that would be 2. And issues from my vice or traumas, no, though what I had mentioned to you before the stream,
right,
because everybody else is picking up stress along the way from various shit. So I think what I had mentioned about just the inane, just
yeah, so I want to, if you're really thinking about it, treating it like that, and then let's talk more offline.
Okay.
In order to, but yes, I would say that's something that would factor in definitely moving forward. I will say that I think you deserve a second point in XP for beliefs, drives, heritage, and background. Is that yet again, when there was a conversation going on about setting up for the new score that's being talked about with the Leviathan blood, you again, Hocus was incredibly hesitant, and you were uncomfortable with Ari even suggesting you get into costume and then her adjusting your coat and your yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that again is like just how much you do not want to be involved in the day-to-day operation that is Phantom at this point.
which is twofold. For one, it's unsettling to Hocus, and 2, it's plausible deniability.
Exactly.
So that's 2 XP.
So that's 2 XP to me from that. So it sounds like you got 3 XP this time around.
Okay.
All right, excellent. And then as we started last week, crew XP. What do you guys think on that?
So let me pull up the crew sheet. Execute successful smuggling or acquire new clients or contraband sources. I don't think we did that. We didn't really make any new connections in regards to smuggling there.
Okay.
Contend with challenges above your current station. Possibly. I guess the Foghounds are a tier 1 crew, and even then we didn't really do anything against them. I guess possibly dealing with the Bluecoats in some way.
Well, Sling did tell a really fantastic story about, kind of paying attention to the Bluecoats and providing with a little bit more information. So yeah, sure.
It was a great story. It was a
great story, and I'm also
It's
trying to highlight
impressive.
the fact that Sky needs to take that into consideration the next time that they have a conversation.
I helped.
I did my job.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah. So
do your job.
definitely
Don't steal stuff, and we'll have a good time.
I have a problem with the latter half of that.
Okay, so you definitely contended with at least one challenge above your station, so that's 1 XP.
Sure.
Bolster the crew's reputation or develop a new one. I think that going a tier definitely counts. Increasing your tier definitely counts as 1 XP.
Sure.
I also think that dealing with the entanglement as a separate set of circumstances counts as a 2nd XP.
Okay, sure.
Because you clearly chose not to have a negative reputation. You chose to develop it or to work with it in such a way that prevented them from actually thinking badly of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that definitely counts as 2 XP.
Okay, sure.
And then express goals drives inner conflict or essential nature of the crew.
A little inner
Just a little bit of inner conflict. Just a little
What
bit.
do you mean? What?
Everything's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You're right.
We're going to talk to the Jesus table. Everything's fine.
The Jesus table. Oh my God.
I almost want to say that's 2 just because of the full extent of it. Like they went after it. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 separate downtime actions just pursuing that.
I agree with that. I also think that on top of that, the fact that that Hocus brought you a new piece of information that's essentially a smuggling operation.
Mm-hmm.
True.
That's the essential nature of the crew, or that could be considered an essential goal of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
So sure. I think, so either way you go for it. You definitely got 2 from that particular final bullet point. So I believe that's 5 altogether that you guys earned this time around.
Yep, we're 2 away from another level.
You're 2 away from going from weak to a strong. So.
Oh no, that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Another special ability. You're correct. You're correct.
Yeah.
That wasn't a rep. My bad.
Have the Shroud been strong yet?
The Shroud are strong as a tier 0 right now. They are currently looking to accomplish that weak status for tier 1, which will change things yet again for them and for you. And with that, I'm going to throw it back over to Speedy. Good job, guys.
Yeah, awesome show, everyone. There's so much going on. God damn it. I hate everything, but I love it so much. I'm so concerned. I have no idea how I'm going to deal with this. I don't know what you're going to do, and I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to it. And there is so much lore and like mechanics that are being built.
We have a new
definitely
player.
Very interesting.
Jinx.
Godiffer.
I will make an entire backstory for him, and it will be ready for next week. It will be like at least 10 pages. I'm saying now. I am promising everybody here at least 10 pages of Jinx Godiffer.
Tiny pages. Tiny little pages.
Also,
I'm writing
reminder,
like size 72
we have a straw poll going right now on what our goat's name should be.
Who's winning?
What name is winning? Deke the goat with 12, Mr. Tumnus with 11. It's like a
goat face is bringing it in with 9.
Yeah. It was someone sending that to me again. I'll put it in the chat, and we'll have a whole.
I'll put it in the Zom chat.
Oh, I really hope Deke wins, because then everyone can pet Sling's Deke.
We'll post this on Twitter after.
I guess Speedy just goes past.
Just ignoring.
I'm just gonna ignore
her. So we're gonna have you guys can all vote on that. We're gonna post it on Twitter, and you can continue voting on it until Tuesday when we have our makeup session, and then we will have an answer. Tune in on Tuesday.
Oh god, I actually forgot.
We will be having a makeup session because missed from before. That is when you can tune in and figure out what the name of our goat is.
Oh my god.
And with that, I'll go ahead and we can start going around doing hooks and plugs. Let's start this time with our wonderful DM, painful. Johnny.
Hey guys, I'm Johnny. I run the VideoStoreCowboy Twitch channel. other than being here causing trouble for Unmade Gaming and his crew. I am a variety streamer, or at least I started doing variety recently. Yeah, other than that, I'm here to cause trouble. And I just have to say, guys, last night was a really good show for the Shroud and for Mike's crew. You guys totally one-upped it. It was an intense week of 6 and 20. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be 4 episodes, essentially 4 weeks out until the season 1 finale, and I have no idea where it's going to end up because there's a lot of moving targets. There's a lot of cross-pollination going on that I wasn't quite expecting. So I'm really proud of you guys. This is pretty freaking awesome. Good job.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, you've enabled all of it by letting us just decide everything.
It's all you. It's all you.
Yeah, but you don't force anything down our throats, and that is important.
Yeah, during my story, I'm looking at you this happened, and then this, and then I saw this man, and then did I see the man? I did see the man.
I am an enabler. I'll just be honest. I'm an enabler. It's all about goats.
It is all about goats.
It's all for the goat.
Goats Incorporated. Let's go on to Trendane. Then you can give some hooks and plugs and tell us what you thought of today's episode.
I'm gonna agree with Johnny, not just because he's the DM, but also because he's right. Last night's episode with the Shroud was great. Tonight's episode with this was also great, and I was gonna say on the Shroud's next episode, they need to, come in and one up us again, and we need to just keep this going, and just because it's gonna boil over to the point that we're gonna, shut off our webcams and go hunt each other down. They're going to cross. No, it's all player knowledge. I didn't do it. Shut up! And,
I have a gun.
Yes, I see.
I think you're the only character that has a gun. This is important.
I have a concealed carry pistol.
Sorry, guys.
Range about
this
10
is
feet.
the Sling show now.
Oh, that's right. The only cutter, and the only hound.
Looks like you need us. Oh, I'll be over here
right.
with my non-contract.
So, before you guys start killing each other, so I really good, and that's one of the things I love about not just our part of the game, but Shroud's part of the game, is that there's always this stair step of things constantly escalating, even when it seems like we're focusing pretty much internally on fixing problems within ourselves. There are these tendrils that reach out and lock onto little hooks that when they get tugged on, it sets things in motion that are like, oh shit, oh God, and it's that's one of the things I really, really like about this. And so, very much like this whole, because it's all narrative and it's all play. God, I love it. Anyway, I am Trendane Sparks. I am at Trendane on Twitter, and you can find me at Arvin Aileron's Twitch channel, where we will usually be doing D&D we're doing Middle Earth D&D on Tuesdays around noon, I think, Eastern time, and then we do voiceover stuff in there. About a week and a half from now, if you have Skyrim, the mod Beyond Skyrim Bruma comes out, and that mod is pregnant with my voice. It's everywhere. And then hopefully soon, I almost was going to point at my shirt, it's the wrong shirt. Wittenlore Dreamtime, there will be a commercial for that coming out pretty soon, I hope.
Nice. Excellent. Yes. Go show Trendane your love. He is an amazing voice actor. His podcasting, prime.
Escape.
Yeah, the Escape Pod, great. Check it out as well. Look it up. I don't have a link for it, but it's there. It exists. It's probably on Twitter somewhere.
I'll find a link that has all of the stories I've narrated for.
And let's move on to MadameGandalf.
Hello, my name is MadameGandalf. I'm a full-time streamer here on Twitch. You can also find me on just about any other means under MadameGandalf. Yes, unfortunately, that is also my fanfiction profile. And yeah, you can see me playing a variety of games, and I'll even be doing a Julia Child special
Ooh.
stream tonight. So yeah, catch me in 3 hours doing that one. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna have the hair up, the like voice on, the like penny and everything.
Booze.
Yep, booze.
All right.
And on that
there you
note, I'll pass it on to Owlbare. Is that the right
Hello.
way? No.
go.
maybe?
Yes, Owlbare, you can go ahead
Yes.
and tell us what you thought of today and who
Fuck
you
your
are.
Speedbot.
What did I think of
What's there?
today? Today was incredible. Today was well, we discovered Jinx Godiffer, so I'd call that a win. I love this. Honestly, I love this game. Every week it just gets more and more fun, and especially since it is, 2 crews, 1 world. It's
Mhm.
just nice having that friendly competition.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm Joff. You can find me on Twitter sharing my inane ramblings, which includes toast, tea, dice, and just general wisdom.
Nice.
PG tips.
PG
PG
tips.
Just the PG tips.
You won't
Just
find
the
any
tips.
tea in the Phantom crew, but you will find it on Joff's Twitter. Yeah, go follow him. And last but not least, Louise.
Hello again. Bloody well enjoyed today. I did. Bloody well did. I was so stressed leading up to this because I had that week off, and I watched the episode back, and I was like, well, I'm gonna die. Sling's gonna die. And then I watched the Shroud episode, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna die again. Oh, I'm gonna be double dead. That's gonna be cool. And coming into this, I was at least 70% convinced that either today or next week I was gonna die. But now I'm in a better position, and I remembered I have a gun, so things are going well for me. And, but no, I love this game, this campaign. I love everything about it. I love everybody that's in it on both this channel and on Mike's channel. It's just so good. It's everything I need in my life. And if you need more of me in your life, you can find me on Twitter at No More No Less, where you have a great fun time. It's perhaps the best place in the world. Some say. Some also say that the second best place, or perhaps first, is my Twitch, AccidentalLegend, where I'm a variety streamer, and I also mainly do D&D map creating, which is a lot of fun, hanging out. And also, I am being reminded that there's an exciting thing happening on this shirt. Look, it's 6/20, and you can buy it from the store.
Go
And let me tell you, it feels great. It looks great. I feel empowered. I feel ready for the day. This shirt has single-handedly solved every problem I've ever had in my life. And
wow, that's a lot of problems, Louise.
yeah. So if you also want that, go buy the shirt. Just say it may not solve all problems. My lawyers are asking me to say that, but you never know unless you try. And that's me. That's Louise.
Mike is saying that there's currently a sale at TeePublic
There's
on the
currently
shirts.
a sale.
It is 30% off. It is only $14 right now. Come on.
That is incredible news.
And they have purple.
Wow.
There's purple.
They have purple.
Wow,
they have
if only
heathered.
there was a way to buy one, and if only there was a link in the chat that
Where
someone
exactly
could
is
click
that
on.
thing?
And
Well,
oh
let
my
me tell
god.
you this, Louise. Now there is.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You have gotta be kidding me.
Not only
And
did you
they
get
also
a
have
fantastic shirt,
notebooks, mugs, and stickers.
Why, that's
Mhm.
perfect
And
for all the
hoodies
notes I take and the
and-
drinks I drink and the walls I
tank
decorate.
tops and everything that you want, that you could want the 6 and 20 logo on, you can have it on.
No,
Everything, Trendane, everything.
Everything.
I have a question, because you say that there's a sale. Now, what if you don't own a boat? What do you
Well,
do?
you need a bigger boat.
Oh,
I also would like to point out that there are 3 choices when it comes to your shirts. You have male, female, and gender. Gender is an option.
Yeah.
I would like a gender in size small, please.
Careful what you ask for.
I would also like to point out that we plug the poll again because we need to name our goat.
It's true.
And maybe one day,
Call
if
the
we
plug again.
all get together and wish hard enough upon a star, maybe the gods will hear us and we can get some goat merchandise.
Some gochendise?
Some goat
Oh.
merchandise.
Oh God.
And if that is all I get for Christmas, then goddamn Santa Claus, you did
I
your
already
job
know.
right.
I should have said, wait, I'm not sure that I heard you correctly. Did you say
Oh.
what I should have said? I didn't say it. Sorry.
You did.
You failed.
And on that
Oh.
note,
You were just
Um,
kidding.
You goat to be kidding me.
Oh,
Just ram that down people's
I'm just
throats.
ending the stream. There's nothing else. There's not even
Just end it right then.
Over.
Go away.
It's just over.
Just bye, guys.
6020 is
Bye.
canceled. Okay. No, but my name is Speedy. I run this channel, NotSoSpeedRuns, where I'm a variety and D&D streamer. You can catch us with more 6 and 20 every Thursday at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. and sometimes going quite a bit longer. But you will also see us on Tuesday at the same time because we'll be doing a makeup session for one that we missed. So make sure that you are there for that. If you don't want to miss out on anything. You can also catch all of the old episodes on YouTube, which I'll put the link in chat for right now. As we've mentioned, there is another side to this story. There's another channel broadcasting this. You can find it over on Unmade Gaming, where the same exact story is going on. VideoStoreCowboy is the DM. There's a collaboration between the three of us. He is the mastermind behind it all, as Mike and I just kind of run it on each of our channels. And there are so many crossovers. It is overwhelming, and I don't know how to handle PvP like that. And I'm sure Johnny has put in far too much thought into how this is going to happen. So absolutely go check out the other side, because it is going to be crazy when things go down, as they're very close to doing. Yeah, with that, we are going to be ending this off with a little bit of a raid for you guys tonight. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to send some love over to a little channel called The Thog Lore. He is a fantastic D&D streamer. Had the chance to meet him briefly at PAX. He's a real cool dude. So we're going to go show him some love. Currently doing some D&D. Looks like they're playing as FBI agents. So definitely going to be something cool going on there. More espionage, perhaps. So yeah, that is where we're going to be ending off tonight. Copy paste that thing in chat. Go show him some love. We will see all of you next time. And as always, don't forget to take it slow.
Like, just exposing it to air could ignite it.
Yeah, it says white phosphorus is only safe from self